Welcome into the playoff edition of Rounding Third Baseball Podcast. We got Harrison right now. Sean might pop on after he's done grading papers and doing adult things, I guess. But yeah, so tonight we're just going to watch the games here, just kind of have a roundtable, talk some baseball. If you at any point would like to come on the show, you are more than welcome to. Just send us a message and we can try to get you on here. But yeah, we're just going to run down through some of the games today. We got a couple sweeps already. Mets threatening to make it a third one, but let's start Tigers and Astros right now.
So I'm just going to say I did actually pick the Tigers on the podcast Monday night after almost not. Yeah. I thought it was going to be close, but Houston, 3 runs in 18 innings ain't going to get it done. That offense was quiet. That is not, as we said going in, this is not the same team they've been, and they proved it tonight. That is not the same team.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about this Tigers team going in. I'm going to be completely honest. And
there's no reason to.
Yeah, and they are fun to watch. They are the definition of scrappy, like scrappy. And man, knowing that you have an ace like Scooble to go out there and just mow down any lineup he faces helps. But the mentality that Hinch has put into that team about, it's just your job to get these 3 outs and to set it up for the next guy. Like, yes, it's your job to get 3 outs, but it's also your job to keep it in good shape for the guy behind you, which you don't really think about, right? Like, you don't want to leave a mess for the next guy behind you, but Hinch is already 3 steps ahead of that and telling these guys that. Like, it was really cool. And I'm glad it was against Houston.
Yeah, it's Houston. Anybody that watched the NFL for years and saw the Patriots dynasty of the AFC Championship went through Gillette every single year knows how we feel about the Houston Astros. It's the same thing. This is what 6. It would have been 6 straight ALCSs that they were in if they'd gone this year. It's nice to see the king dethroned, and they have been. And that Detroit Tiger, as we said on Monday night, if the Tigers go in there feeling like they're playing with house money and they've got nothing to lose and they just play free, they've got a great shot. And that's what they did. You look at that hit Ibanez had tonight that really kind of put the nail in the coffin for the Astros off a hater. Tough at bat, great piece of hitting, but no fear. He was loose. You can see him as he back out of the box. He's kind of shaking himself loose. Like, these guys were smiling. They were having a good time. They were playing loose, and Houston looked tight. I don't think Alex Bregman looked perpetually mad the whole series. Altuve wasn't his usual self. He wasn't kind of his light self. That's a team that's tight. They went into these playoffs feeling like they had the weight of the world on them, and it showed.
Yeah, you had Jeremy Pena have that run in the playoffs where he won the ALCS MVP, World Series MVP, and he hasn't hit a lick since.
No, he has been a
non-factor.
He got all bulked up that offseason, and ever since then he hasn't been the same player. He doesn't have the fluid. He is not. The fluid motion is gone. The fluid swing is gone. Everything with him seems very herky-jerky, and he's not the same player.
Yeah. So if you're watching now and you want to come on the show, just let us know, and you can come on and join the playoff and baseball discussion. We're just going to be sitting here watching the Mets and the Brewers here, and then when the Braves and Padres get started, we'll be watching that, kind of switching back and forth. But just talking about Tigers and that Astros series. But man, so what do you think? How do you feel about their chances going? They go to New York, right? Oh no, Royals go to
Detroit,
New York.
Detroit goes to Cleveland.
To Cleveland. So interdivision rivalry there. How are we feeling?
This one's tough for me because I feel like Detroit and Cleveland are like the same team. They are not super flashy on offense. There's not a ton of power. Like, there's no like big power threats. They got a lot of guys that will contribute. But they are similar in the fact they're going to pitch well, they're going to catch the ball, they're going to run well, they're going to hit in situations. Like they are the same team.
Yeah.
That I think is going to be interesting. I feel like you have to give the edge to Cleveland. I think they've got a little bit more firepower, and they've certainly got the bullpen depth nobody else has. But I think this is going to be another good one.
Yeah, I mean, the Guardians do have a little bit more thump with J-Ram and Naylor. Even David Fry had an all-star season. So
yeah,
you do have a little bit more thump in that Guardians. But you're right. Like they are essentially pretty much the same team where it's like Sean always says, death by 1,000 cuts.
Yep.
And that's exactly what the Tigers hitters did in this series. Like didn't give up an at-bat ever. And just put good swings on the ball. And man, I mean, Parker Meadows getting it started with a solo shot today.
Yep.
And then that huge hit, like you said, by Ibanez was insane. But
I mean, can you imagine? Just think of this for a second. As I'm watching the at bat, I'm like, man, I can't imagine being in his shoes. Here's a guy coming off the bench cold to face Josh Hader, who throws a mid to high 90s sinker. I mean, thankfully he's a left-hander and you're a right-hander, but still the way that sinker moves, a left-handed sinker is actually probably worse to a righty than anything.
yeah.
And that's a tough at bat to come in cold for. And he had several. I mean, he fought off several pitches, took some close ones, fought off a bunch of pitches, hit several foul balls, and then got that hit down the line that completely kind of blew the doors open on that game. But that was it looked like Houston was gonna steal game 2 until that 4-run inning where it all fell apart.
And I mean, that's the Astros panicking too a little bit. Like after Hader, now what?
Well, and you brought in Presley to start, and Presley was ineffective. And then Hader came in, he was also ineffective. Those are you think about what the Astros set them. We said it in the offseason when they signed Hader. Like you've now got 2 closers in your bullpen to come into high leverage situations. You needed them both in game 2. They both stunk in game 2. And here you are on the outside looking in for the first time in a long time.
Yeah. I mean, we knew going in, it was kind of tough. Like Alvarez didn't look like himself. Like you can definitely tell that he was not 100%.
No, his bat looked slow. He looked uncomfortable.
Yeah. And I mean, Tucker's coming off an injury. I don't know. You're right. The Astros just weren't the same Astros team that they have been. They haven't been their same dominant self. And not to mention no Verlander either.
Which I will say, the pitching wasn't the issue, except for the bullpen. Valdez was very good in game 1. He lost to Skubal, who was damn near perfect. Brown was really good today, 5 2/3, 9 Ks, 1 run. It wasn't the starting pitching that let him down. It was the offense. And then today it was the bullpen. But as I said to you guys, you can't score 3 runs in 18 innings and expect to win a series. Now the Royals took my theory and quickly washed it away, but you normally, 3 runs in 2 games normally doesn't get you 2 wins.
Right.
And if I'm the Astros and you look at how you played, starting pitching great, bullpen not, offense not.
Yeah, their offense was non-existent. So
bad, and a lot of really just ugly at bats.
Yeah, and in those 2-game series, like you said, anything can happen. And once you're in a slump, dude, it's hard to get out. Baseball is like that. If your offense isn't hitting game 1, chances are you're not hitting game 2 either. Like it's contagious on both ways.
Yeah, and you're not facing somebody's 5th starter at the start of a fresh series. Like you're getting the best.
Right. Usually.
And that's if you're not hitting great going into this and you're going to face the top of the rotation of some playoff teams, that's what you get.
Yeah.
And Skubal for the Tigers was, like I said, damn near perfect. Detroit went with a bullpen game today, and they were basically lights out except for one little blip.
Yeah. Yeah. Skubal is an absolute animal. That guy is nearly unhittable. It's gross.
I mean, the only at-bats that looked more uncomfortable yesterday were the ones against Michael King. But Skubal had those guys shaking their head walking away. They didn't know what was coming, and even if they knew what was coming, they weren't going to hit it.
No.
He was so in control of that game.
Yeah. We'll get over to the Braves and Padres because I want to talk about Michael King and that performance too. But let's get to the Royals and Orioles. Orioles show up. They lose their 10th straight postseason game since whenever. I mean, they haven't won there in a while. And talk about a non-existent offense.
Yeah.
Nowhere to be found.
Yeah, we got a comment in the chat here real quick, Nick, from Cargo Rockies on Instagram. His comment was Josh Hader, Josh Hader bum, all caps. Why wouldn't you throw a slider 0-2? I mean, after the guy fouled off 2 sinkers, I can't argue with thinking about throwing something off speed to him. If you look at the sequence against the Banyas, though, he went sinker, kind of middle in, and then down and in, and then he went sinker up and away, trying to change the eye level. The best pitch after that probably would have been a slider, but he didn't. He just kept going back to the sinker. Either he wasn't feeling the slider in that situation, because keep in mind, bases are loaded. You lose a slider in the dirt in a 1-run game, a run can come in to score there. So he either wasn't feeling the slider, didn't have the comfort in it, or just thought there was something in what Ibanez was doing that the sinker would be the better pitch. But I can't say I'd argue with that. Slider would have been a good call, but clearly he wasn't feeling it.
Woulda, shoulda, coulda.
Yep. Yeah, and Hader, and I get the Astros sentiment. You went out to get this guy, paid him a bunch of money to be a stopper and to get you out of innings like that. And he didn't deliver when the season was on the line. And I understand the frustration.
No, 1,000%. Yeah.
Totally get it.
Yeah. I mean, like you were saying, he throws hard, upper 90s. And eventually, these are professional hitters. They're going to catch up with that hard stuff. You got to keep them off balance. And the back foot slider, whether he had confidence in it or not, he probably should have at least shown it in that at bat.
Yep. Yeah, I don't think he threw it once to Ibanez. I think it was all sinkers. And when you get into a deep count like that, he's got you timed up. There's no surprises anymore. Now it's just location, and he missed. But at the same time, bases loaded, 2 outs. You throw that slider in the dirt. I mean, that could easily be a wild pitch. Now you got a run coming in from third. I mean, it's tough, but to your point, he should have at least shown it, because he was just throwing sinker after sinker after sinker. No surprises.
Yeah. So Royals and Orioles. So lack of offense there on the Orioles part. And Bobby Witt Jr.
On the Royals part too.
Yeah, Bobby Witt Jr. tallies 2 of the 4 RBIs.
Yeah,
and they win the series.
He had 2, and Pasquatch had 1, and that was it.
Yeah.
And I sent you guys a message right before that second run came in. Begging the Royals, score some runs. The Orioles are asleep. Like, take advantage of this. The Royals did not play great, but they pitched exceptionally. And that's the only reason they won that series. Yeah. Their offense continues to be abysmal, as it has been for the whole month of September. I didn't even realize Pasquantino was coming back. I thought he was going to be out a little longer. So when he was in game 1, I was pumped. He had 2 hits today. He looked great, but he's still nursing that thumb. So I don't think you're going to see much power from him, but just him RBI singles, I would happily take. But Royals did not hit well. They pitched great. The Orioles pitched well, didn't hit either. But they hit even less. I mean, that team scored 1 run in 18 innings.
Yeah, not going to get the job
2 runs.
done.
No, they lost 1-0 and 2-1. So yeah, the Orioles scored 1 run, and it was a Cedric Mullins home run.
Yep. I mean,
they never got anything going.
No, we said that Monday night. I mean, if the Royals have a shot, Reagan's has to be Reagan's, and Lugo has to be Lugo, and they were. They came in and dominated that lineup.
Totally.
But man, I expected a little bit more fight out of the Orioles, but they looked like the same exact team as last year when the Rangers went in and just socked them in the mouth.
Yeah,
not much different.
No, that Orioles team, there was no fight. They were completely punchless. They looked lost out there. I mean, there was one at bat. I want to say it might have been Adley Rutschman's first at bat. I think he K'd, and like he just went back to the dugout shaking his head. Like you could almost see it on his face. It was like, what is happening? Like we can't get anything going. And then just like we saw with the Astros, like by the second half of game 2, they were grinding. They were feeling the pressure of the fact that they couldn't get it going and they were at risk of going home.
Yep. Braves take an early 1-0 lead right now. Sac fly by Marcell Ozuna. But yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, crazy, man. I don't know. Does that put Brandon Hyde on the hot seat? Yes, he made the playoffs. I get that. But second year in a row, we've kind of gotten to this point, and we just kind of lay an egg. Like a goose egg, literally. We put up a goose egg.
Yeah. Last year you could say, well, it was the inexperience. We hadn't been there in a long time. This is largely the same team that did the exact same thing. I don't know that Brandon Hyde is on the hot seat, but I think if I'm ownership, I'm looking at him going, what's happening? Like, why can we not show up in the playoffs? We are so good in the regular season, and then we get to the playoffs and we just wilt out there. We disappear. I mean, Corbin Burns was absolutely phenomenal in game 1 and lost. He couldn't have been much better, and he lost because they managed to score nothing for him.
Yeah. I mean, you can't even say that they struggled going into the playoffs. They were 7-3 in their last 10. No, they weren't. Hold on. Sorry. Yeah, they were. They're 7-3 in their last 10.
They looked good on the way through. I mean, and they pitched well, but just like against the Rangers, their offense disappeared.
And that's what we were talking about.
Seems to be their MO.
Yeah, and that's what we were talking about the Royals. The Royals were stumbling for the last month going into the playoffs. So we're like, all signs are pointing to the Orioles taking this series pretty handedly.
Yeah.
But when it just shows when you have those top of the line starters that go in and are absolute aces, anything can happen.
Yeah. The Orioles left 16 men on base in these 2 games.
Yeah.
16 men left on base. I mean,
what was it?
That's the story.
Yeah, what was it? I mean, it was the 5th or 6th inning. The Orioles left the bases loaded with no outs, something like that.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean that's going to do it.
It's the offense. It's all about the offense. I mean, Eflin was really good today. 4 innings, 1 earned. Corbin Burns was exceptional yesterday, and they both had nothing to show for it because they managed 1 run.
Yeah. Just a comment here. What teams do we go for? So we're all originally from New England, so we're Red Sox fans, but we cover all baseball. So we're just kind of talking about playoffs right now. But yeah, right now it's not something to brag about to be a Red Sox fan. We'll probably go off on them at some point during the show. But
the way I explain to people is that I'm a born and raised New Englander, so I'm a Red Sox fan, but I'm really a baseball fan.
Yeah.
And I watch all teams. I mean, I follow different teams each year. This year, the Royals were one of my teams. I picked them in March. So we like to get out there and just watch baseball.
Yeah, for me, it was the Diamondbacks last year in April. I was like, I'm just going to start watching a West Coast team. Since they shortened the games, I was like, hey, we can finally start watching the West Coast here a little bit before going to bed. Because we're on the East Coast. So West Coast games for us were like, well, I can't stay up till 2 a.m. to watch a full game. But nice, goes for the Reds. Cool, from Canada.
All right.
That's
good. All right. So question for you, Canadian Jeff. David Bell fired. Is that the right decision for the Reds? I'd love your feedback. As a Reds fan, do you like the move of letting David Bell go?
And I'm guessing he's a Reds fan because of Joey Votto being from Canada, correct?
Has to be, right?
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, so I started following the Diamondbacks last year in April, and then middle of the year, I was like, man, this is a really fun team to watch. And then they went on the run that they did. This year, a little bit short. They had their destiny in their own hands, and they kind of, struggled down the stretch. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. All right, so the Royals go into New York.
Which, yeah, I mean, the Royals, again, like I said, the Royals didn't play great, but they were just not as bad as the Orioles. I like the matchup of the Royals and the Yankees. I think the Royals are the exact opposite of the Yankees. They are, base hits, speed, good defense, good pitching. The Yankees are inconsistent pitching, not a lot of speed, and relying on the home run. And they could not be more different.
Yeah.
They could not be more different.
And
Yeah, we are huge Ellie De La Cruz fans, Canadian Jeff.
Yeah.
Love Ellie. So I like the matchup with the Yankees. They are polar opposites. I will say this Royals offense needs to wake up. They've been asleep for a month, and they were not great in this series either. But the pitching bailed them out. They need to be better if they're going to stand a chance against the Yankees.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at the Yankees, Nick, I mean, we all have questions about the Yankees being able to win in the playoffs, but like when you look at that roster, that lineup, that pitching rotation, like, are they a team to beat? Are they a favorite? I mean, the Astros are out. The Orioles are out. I mean, are the Yankees now the favorite in the AL?
I mean, I think they quote unquote have to be. Right? I mean, you don't really have any other powerhouses, I guess, for lack of a better word, left. Do they match up well with better teams? Probably. But there's other teams that I think could go in and hand the Yankees 4 losses and we go home. Or is it 3? Is it best of 5 or is it best of 7? Best of 5, right?
It's 3, 5, 7, 7. So yeah, this is
5.
This is 5.
So they could hand the Yankees 3 losses, and who knows? We never know what kind of Garrett Cole we're going to get in the playoffs either. I think his last start, he had a good start in the playoffs. Other than that, it hasn't been great.
Yeah, I think he was good in the playoffs with the Astros. I feel like he had one start where he blew up, but otherwise he was okay with the Astros. But he's another guy who's very inconsistent when games matter. But I look at the teams left in the American League. You got the Yankees, you got the Royals, you got the Tigers, you got the Indians. Yankees are a slugging team. Everybody else is like a pitch well, play defense, base hit, stolen base. Like they're scrappy teams. And then you got the Yankees who are just sitting back waiting for the 3-run home run. They are kind of the outlier of the group that remains. And I don't think their style of play, and we've said this since the podcast started, the Yankee style of play does not play well in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like you can't hope to hit a 3-run bomb off Tarek Skubal because he doesn't give them up.
No.
You've got to be able to string hits together and get a rally going.
So, I mean, Garrett Cole's overall stats aren't terrible. I mean, he's
playoffs?
10-6, 2.93 ERA. So that should get you some wins. So 17 games. So he's got 16 decisions in his 17 games. 104 innings. Given up 37 runs, 34 of them earned.
All right.
So, I mean,
and he's also giving you 6 or 7 innings every start too, which is pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, New York, that was the opponent. So you're right. Houston, he was 1-0, lost to Boston in 18. So he was 1-1 in 18. 2019, with the Houston Astros again, 2-0 against Tampa, 1-0 against the Yankees, 1-1 against the Nationals. And then 2020, 1-0 with the Yankees, 1-0 against the Rays in that same season, 2020. Lost to Boston in 2021.
Because Boston owns them.
Yeah. And then in 22, he was 2-0 against the Indians in that series. and then lost to Houston in 2022 in that series.
All right, so
13.5 earned run average against Boston in that one game.
Yeah, they own them.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm still going to put Garrett Cole on the mound and feel confident. I mean, the dude's a beast.
Oh, yeah. You have to. Like, he's still your horse.
Yeah. But do I feel confident that the Yankees will win? I'm not confident in it. But,
Dominic is.
Okay. I mean, fair enough. I mean,
it's at this point with the Astros going out and the Orioles going out. I mean, I think the Yankees are probably the odds-on favorite to win the American League. Do I think they win the American League? No, I don't think they do. But I sure think they've got a good shot.
Yeah, I mean, you can't count out Soto and Judge. Yeah, you just said it. I mean, Soto and Judge is a 3-4, best 3-4 in baseball. It's not even close. I mean, I mean, you do have the Dodgers top 4, but I mean, that's another story. But
the issue with the Yankees, though, is outside of Soto and Judge, what else do you have? You got a bunch of guys who've been wildly inconsistent. And you've got Rizzo, who it sounds like is out for the playoffs now anyways. I mean, Austin Wells has been good, but is he really going to be the guy that backs up Judge and protects him? I mean, if I am the Royals, you break down the stats for Aaron Judge. He scores 1 out of 5 times he gets on base. So 1 out of 5 times he gets on base, he scores. So in a 5-game series, he's going to get 20 at-bats. If I walked him every single at-bat, he's going to score no more than 4 runs on me. However, if I pitch to him, he could very easily drive in more than 4.
Right.
If I'm the Royals, I'm not pitching to him unless I have to. I'm gonna make everybody else in that lineup beat me.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, Luis Seals definitely had a good season. I mean, his
second half was not nearly as good as the first half, but
but
he's been good.
Yeah. So you put, I mean, it's going to be Garrett Cole against, Reagan's game 1, right? They're playing on Saturday, so He's got plenty of time to rest.
It'll be Heel against Lugo.
Yep. And then
game 3, I have to imagine, is probably going to be. I mean, it won't be Stroman.
No.
They won't. There's no way they'll start Cortez. Rodon.
That's got to be right. It's got to be.
You got to go Rodon in game 3.
And then you think Royals go bullpen game there?
Or do you bring Singer out?
Singer, you got Waka, right? Do they have Wakas?
Yeah, I think my guess is neither team is going to name a game 3 starter until they see how the first 2 games turn out.
Fair.
Because if it's 2-0 one way or the other, or 1-1, you're probably approaching game 3 a lot different.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
But if I'm the Yankees, it's probably going to be Cole, Heel, Rodon. And if I'm the Royals, it's probably Raggins, Lugo, Singer. I mean, maybe you'd go.
I mean, you have Waka there.
And Waka, I mean, Waka's, and he's got a good playoff track record. Maybe you go Waka and Singer's just kind of ready in case you need him. Because Singer was not great this season.
Yeah. You also have Michael Lorenzen for long relief. If you he's obviously probably not who you want to start, but he could get you some length if you need it.
The Royals could use Singer or Lorenzen as the guy you go to first if one of these guys gets in trouble early. Because that's the one thing with the Yankees. They can throw runs up fast. So an inning can get out of hand quick.
Yeah.
But they don't. I don't see the Yankees being able to do that against good pitching. They haven't. They haven't since 2009. So.
Yeah.
And you're just not gonna see the Royals give up a lot of 3-run home runs. And a solo shot by Aaron Judge ain't gonna win you a game.
No. So I mean, yeah. I just don't know, kind of like we said, I don't know who I pick over the Yankees right now. I mean, Guardians have that staff that could come in and shut a team down. And we've seen if you can stay away from Judge and situations where you don't have to pitch to him, you can beat the rest of that lineup fairly consistently. So I don't know. I mean, I'm done predicting. I mean, with the Tigers going in and just rolling over the Houston Astros, and I don't know. It's hard to stop a hot team in baseball. These guys are all pros, and if they're hot, they're hot. It's hard to stop them. Yep.
Yeah,
Yankees versus Mets. Another Subway Series would be incredible. I would be all for that.
Would be cool. So the Royals head-to-head record against the Yankees this year, they were 2-5. They did not fare great against the Yankees, but they were all close games. The Guardians this year were 2-4 against the Yankees. Again, a lot of close games, and close games can go either way in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And then the Tigers were also 2-4 against the Yankees. So the Yankees have a winning record against all three other teams remaining. However, they played all three of those teams very close, and close games can go either way in the playoffs.
Yeah. So we have a question right here. Before we get over to the NL, who do you think's going to the World Series?
Oh,
do it. Pick your Royals. That's where Will Smith is.
I just don't. I don't think the Royals are going to do it. They can't muster any offense, and you're not going to beat the Yankees 2-1.
But you got Will Smith. This could be his fourth World Series in a row.
Isn't that something? I'm gonna go. It's gonna be. Oh man, I don't like these choices. I'm gonna go. I'll take the Guardians coming out of the AL.
Okay.
I don't know why. I feel the Guardians. I'm going to go Guardians Phillies. And I think the Guardians win.
Wow. All right. I don't hate it. I mean, whatever. I mean, if we're going to go off the wall, let's go off the wall.
I mean, dude, I mean, Detroit beat Houston. KC beat Baltimore. The Mets might beat the Brewers. I mean, I don't think there's any rules anymore. Just throw it all out the window.
Yeah, right. I think I'm gonna piggyback on your Guardians pick. I think they just have their offense is just like single. Oh, let's sneak a 3-run homer in there. Single.
They just wear you out.
Yeah. I do like them. I am gonna go with the Friars coming out of the NL. I am. I mean, after getting that Michael King performance out of them last night, he was filthy. It was disgusting.
Not right.
These guys were swinging at pitches 5 feet out of the strike zone.
That Travis d'Arnaud strikeout. I watched replay of that d'Arnaud strikeout like 5 times. I still can't believe he swung at that pitch.
He could have duct taped 3 more baseball bats to the end of the one he already had and not fouled it off.
Not a shot. He could have swung a telephone pole, couldn't have reached it.
That was bad. But the Padres have the pitching depth. Michael King was the 4th one I couldn't think of on Monday night when I was listing off their starters. Musgrove, Cease, Darvish, Michael King. You got 4 pretty decent starters that are going to give you a solid chance to win. And a 4-man rotation in the playoffs should do it. How many teams have we seen go through with a 3-man rotation and dominate? I mean, we've seen it quite a bit. You know?
I mean, most teams have won with a 2-man rotation and a third guy.
Right.
That they just threw in. I mean,
yeah.
But sometimes you're not even that deep.
The Phillies making their runs, it's always a 3-man, right? It's Wheeler, Nola, and Ranger Suarez.
Yeah, and Ranger Suarez was the best of the bunch last year.
He was lights out last year.
The matchup in the back of my mind I keep coming up to that I think would be interesting, and I do actually think is more likely than not, is Tigers Padres, because those are the 2 hottest teams in the last 2 months.
Yeah.
And the momentum they carry. I mean, we saw it with the way the Tigers just put down the Astros. I mean, they didn't beat them; they put them down.
Yeah. I mean, MLB, we all know what MLB wants for a matchup. They want Yankees Dodgers. They want Soto Judge against Otani, Betts, Freeman. That's
Oh
what
yeah.
they want.
MLB is scared to death of the thought of a team like the Brewers or the Guardians or the Royals being in the being in the World Series. Just like they're afraid of a team like San Diego being in the World Series. They want a major market. They want a New York team. They want LA. I mean, they'd even take Atlanta, but they do not want Detroit, Kansas City, San Diego, Milwaukee, because those are small markets. And MLB is probably horrified at the thought of one of those teams making it.
I mean, but every year they expand the playoffs even more. So the chances of those teams making it are bigger. So, I mean, I don't know. Baseball's done a good job to grow the game. More access to more teams with MLB TV and see all of these guys play. When we were growing up, we couldn't. We could only see these guys play if they were playing against our team. Like I would have loved to have watched Tony Gwynn more, but I saw him maybe twice a year if I was able to catch a Cubs game on the local WGN. Like that was it. Otherwise than that, I never saw the guy play.
No,
but now
other than baseball tonight, I mean, if it wasn't for baseball tonight, I probably would have never gotten to see Gwynn or Griffey, because they were on the West Coast and I wasn't staying up until 1 o'clock in the morning to watch a game.
Right. Yeah. This week.
Not only that, but they weren't on.
All that stuff. Right.
I missed TWIB.
Yeah. It was
this
so
week
good.
In baseball. That was such a good show. But it literally, I mean, I watched baseball tonight every single night and SportsCenter every single morning. That's the only way I saw most of these players.
Yeah.
Because there was, at the time, it was like you had Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN. That was it. Otherwise, it's just your local team.
Yep. What do you think the chances are of this Mets team going further?
I picked the Brewers because I thought they would finally break the cycle of being playoff choke artists. And here we are, top five. They're losing 3-1. And there is something to be said. This Mets team just won't quit.
No,
they won't quit. I mean, they're down last night until they're not. They're down against Atlanta until they're not. Like they continue to stick around and they just won't quit.
There is something in that team's mojo for sure. And I mean, the catalyst is, and it's no surprise. It's Frankie Lindor. I mean, that dude provides so much for that team.
He's such a spark plug. I do think the Mets. I think the Mets probably win tonight, and that one's over too.
Yeah. I mean, and they're probably playing for Pete too. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen with Pete Alonso in this offseason.
No, we don't. And I think the general consensus is he's out of town. I feel like if he was going to stay, they would have already had those conversations, and it doesn't seem like they have. And I think he wants to go somewhere else. I don't think he feels like he's gotten the love in New York.
Do you think Alonso will kind of treat it like Judge did, where Judge went around the league, saw what he could get, and then came back to the Yankees, and they're like, whatever you can get, we'll top it? Do you think Cohen would do that for Pete Alonso?
I don't think Cohen's romantic about the players like Steinbrenner is. I think.
Aaron Judge is not, or Pete Alonso is not Aaron Judge. That's not what I'm trying to say.
He's not, but I don't think Steve Cohen gets romantic about the players like Steinbrenner does. I think to him it's a business transaction. These are the terms where it works for us. If you like him, great. If you don't, okay. Cohen's not afraid to spend money though, and he may have his sights set. He may, for all we know, he may say, "Well, Pete can go because I'm going to offer Juan Soto everything." We don't know what they're thinking, but I think the chances of Pete being back in New York are probably 40%. I think it's a 60% chance he goes somewhere else.
Yeah. I was going to say 50-50.
Yeah, I think he's indicated as such that he's ready for a change of scenery. Actually, I think a lot of people thought he was going to get traded this year. So I think for Pete, this is potentially the last rodeo in New York, and I think he's just gonna take it as far as it can go.
Okay, so let's play it out. Where does Pete Alonso go if he doesn't re-sign with the Mets? Where does he go?
So I could see Pete Alonso ending up. So I'm just going to throw a few ideas out there. I could see Pete Alonso ending up in St. Louis.
I was
If
just going
depending
to
on what
say that.
happens with, yeah, depending on the situation with Goldie, I could see him going to St. Louis. I could see him going to the Chicago Cubs. They need a thumper. I could see the Seattle Mariners making a real push at him because they need somebody in the middle of their lineup.
Dude, Kyle Agashioka just went deep again. It's 1-1.
Oh my lord!
That dude, every hit he's had in the postseason has been a bomb.
Yeah, and a sac fly. He threw one of those in there too.
Well, that's not a
Holy
hit,
cow!
so that doesn't count.
No, sorry, you're right. You're right. You said every hit, not every at bat. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But
God
yeah,
dang,
so
man.
I could see Pete in St. Louis. I could see him in Chicago. I could see him in Seattle. I mean, I could see New York still being in play, but I think they're lower down the list. Outside of that, like when I look around the league, I don't know if there's a ton more spots for him. You know, the Dodgers are all set. The Angels aren't going to invest that money. We know the A's aren't. You know, there's no AL Central team that's going to shell out that kind of cash that doesn't already have a first baseman.
Right.
I mean, the NL Central's in the same boat. I mean, the Pirates aren't going to spend. The Reds aren't going to spend. I don't think he's got more than 3 or 4 potential landing spots.
Yeah, I think the Cardinals are the top one because they already said they're not bringing Goldschmidt back, so he's out.
And they shouldn't. I mean, I think
he's 37 years old.
Yeah, his power's gone. His bat slowed down. I think that he's a guy who may hang on for a couple more years on a lesser team as a DH maybe, or maybe as a platoon type player as kind of a veteran presence. But I think his kind of star status days are over.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, steep decline from the last year or so.
And quick. I mean, like you look at a guy like Jose Abreu who had the same thing happen. It was a real quick decline, bat speed gone. I mean, Pete Alonso and Paul Goldschmidt have the 2 worst batting averages on 95 plus mile per hour fastballs.
Yeah, I mean, Goldschmidt just won the MVP, what, in 22?
Yeah.
And then in 23, we just kind of...
Last year, he was good.
268, yeah.
Yeah, 23, he was good, and this year he was not the same player.
I mean, 23, 25, and 80 this year, 22 and 65. So, I mean, with a 245 batting average.
Yeah, so I mean, it's definitely a decline from where he was. He's still a serviceable player, but he's not going to find that kind of full-time role on a contender.
Yeah. And then,
and Pete Alonso's in kind of an interesting spot because his advanced metrics aren't very good. He doesn't hit fastballs well. He doesn't hit his batting average on balls in play is pretty low, but he does hit some bombs.
Yeah. It will be interesting. I don't know.
And he plays a serviceable first base. He's not great. He's not terrible.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is a guy that over the last 4 years has averaged 157 games played and 40 home runs. I mean,
yeah,
you'll take that.
Yeah, any team would for sure.
And not to mention the fact that by the way, he's not even 30 yet. He turns 30 this offseason. You know, you still got 4 or 5 years of peak Pete Alonso.
Yeah.
You know, I think if I'm the Cardinals, I'm throwing a 5-year contract offer at him to see if he wants to come and take over for Goldschmidt. But if I'm the Mariners or the Cubs, I'm probably more desperate for that and might be willing to pay him even more.
Does Pete Alonso fit for the Mariners though? They need some contact guys in that lineup bad. They can't put the bat on the ball to save their lives.
Yeah, and I do think the loss of Suarez, although Suarez was an absolute black hole at times, I think his presence in that lineup and the power he provided, although this year he got off to a slow start until like August, I I do think that power presence in the middle of the lineup really was a huge hole for them.
Yeah.
Because there's no thump, there's no threat of the 3-run bomb.
Right.
A guy
Yeah,
like
I
Pete
mean,
Alonso brings that back.
yeah. I mean, you have J. Rod and Cal Raleigh kind of around him, but I don't know.
Yeah, but Cal Raleigh's a 30 home run guy. J. Rod's a 20 some odd home run guy. Solid numbers, but are you going if you've got two guys on in the 8th inning and J. Rod steps up to the plate? Are you scared to death he's going yard? No, but with Alonso, you sure are.
Right. Yeah, it's fair.
And the Cubs need some power too. They don't have any thump in that lineup.
Who's got? Is it Michael Bush? Is that first for them right now? I think.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. It will be interesting. I mean, I would not be surprised if he ends up staying in New York. It wouldn't surprise me if Cohen pays for Soto and Alonso to stay.
I wouldn't be shocked. This is the same guy who shelled out hundreds of millions of dollars to then trade it all away when it didn't work.
Yeah. And I was just like, oh well.
I think that's the one thing with Cohen is that where he is a fan and an owner, he's gonna make the moves like a fan at times.
Yeah. All right, let's get to the National League here. So,
all right, hang on. Before we jump to the National League, I got a question for you, Nick. So, okay. New York Yankees right now have probably a clear path to the World Series in the mind of most baseball people. If they don't win the American League and or the World Series this year, is Brian Cashman's tenure over? At what point do the Yankees realize this program doesn't work and we've got to change it?
Honestly, I thought it was 2 years ago. 2 or 3 years ago. I thought they were going to get rid of Cashman. Oh, Padres might have just busted it open here.
Yeah, 3-1.
Yeah, 2-run double. I really did not think they were going to, A, hang on to Aaron Boone, or B, hang on to Cashman, or C, all of the above. Like, I thought they were going to go in at some point and just be like, hey, we haven't won in a while, and we're the New York freaking Yankees. Like
2009.
We got to do something here.
You've won what, 2 World Series in the last 25 years?
Yeah, which is unheard of for
them. That's Yankees. Not good.
So, I mean, for them to still have Aaron Boone at the helm and Cashman in the front office, I mean, maybe there is loyalty to them there, but I don't know. That would be a Yankees fan question, I think, is I don't know. How do they feel about Brian Cashman? How do they feel about Aaron Boone pulling the strings for their team? I'm not in touch with the Yankees enough to make that decision. But if it was me and they fall short of the World Series again after you traded for Soto, you have Aaron Judge, you have Garrett Cole, you have arguably the best hitter in baseball, one of the best, if not the best starting pitcher in baseball, and you can't get to the World Series. Oh, it's 5-1 now. Another double.
Oh, man. I look away and it's –
yeah.
Machado just laced one. Oh, Jackson Merrill triples.
That kid's a beast.
Man. He is a beast. Bottom 2, 5-1. Yeah, I mean, and the Braves are sleepwalking. I mean,
we'll get to them in a second. Yeah. But, I mean, I don't know. I think it would be time for a change. But to be fair, I thought it was time for a change 3 years ago. So I don't expect anything to change.
I think that's the difference in Hal versus George. George Steinbrenner would have fired everybody years ago, having not won. Whereas I think Hal, again, he's a little bit more romantic about the people and the players, and he's hung on and he's let Cashman keep doing what he does. But at some point, I feel like as the owner, you've got to look around and be like, hey, maybe this isn't working, and maybe it's time that I did something about it. Hope is not a strategy. You can't just keep hoping that one year they're going to hit, because they haven't. They've consistently not. Like, they've consistently not delivered that roster and hit on the moves they needed to make to bring a World Series back. And Yankees fans are crazy restless about it.
Yeah. I mean, as they should be. I mean, we're Red Sox fans. They've won 4 in the last 20 years. Like, And we're still like very critical about what our front office does.
Well, because now the team's not even competitive, but yeah, I mean,
fair.
It's hard. Like at least the Yankees are in the playoffs most years. Like the Red Sox haven't been relevant now in a in a few years.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one, but I mean, if it was me, I think I would make a change. I think I would.
I feel like they can't keep doing nothing, but I just don't get the sense that they're prepared to do anything.
No, absolutely not. All right, so let's start with the Braves and Padres. I mean, that Braves team is a shell of themselves right now, and that's kind of showed last night, showing tonight again. Losing Sale takes the wind out of your sails, pardon the pun, but
yeah,
I mean, your Triple Crown Cy Young winner is on the shelf.
That's Chris Sale, like fluke injury, out for the playoffs, and season's going to be over. You know, when you need him most, he's not there. But he put up crazy stats, and you know, we said it after Monday, like they coughed it up against the Mets. They won game 2 against what was basically a B squad, barely. And then they were immediately getting on a plane to fly out west. They've got no pitching lined up, no Chris Sale, decimated by injuries. Like I expected the Braves to fall out of contention after Riley Green got hurt, and they did. And then they rallied back.
Austin Riley, you mean?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Austin Riley. When Austin Riley went out, I thought their season was over. They fell out of the playoffs. Then they kind of came rallying back the last 2 weeks. But I mean, that team doesn't, like, you look at that roster and you go, yeah, it's not a bad team, but like that's not a team that's going to go make a lot of noise in the playoffs.
No, I mean, it hurts. You lose Strider right off the top. You lose Acuna midway through. You lose Albies for a significant period of time. You lose Austin Riley for, now, and it's significant.
And Albies was like the only guy that hit on Monday.
Yeah. I mean, Matt Olson had a down year.
Bad. I mean, half his production.
Right. So, I mean, you get this team healthy, they're going to be back, no doubt. But right now, they're just a shell, kind of going through the motions. It shows.
Imagine that roster right now. If you have a healthy Spencer Strider, Chris Sale, Max Fried, all lined up for the playoffs. You've got a lineup that has Acuna in it, Austin Riley in it.
Ronaldo Lopez too. Forget that he got hurt and he just came back too.
Yeah, imagine that lineup's got Acuna back in it. You've got Austin Riley back in it. Like, this team is set up to be a juggernaut. They're just missing too many of the key players that make it go. Yeah. And what you're looking at is just a team that's been decimated by injuries that is limping into the playoffs with half of its force.
All right, so here's my next question then. Did Alex Thermopoulos, or whatever his last name is.
Anthopoulos.
Thank you. Did he make the right decision signing all of these guys long-term early? Seeing how injury-prone we are here.
So I'm going to say, did he make the right decision signing them long-term? No, I don't think he did. But he signed them to contract terms that are friendly enough you can withstand it.
Okay, that's fair.
Because if you were to go sign Acuna today, if you had signed Acuna at the end of last year to an extension, he would have been one of the highest paid guys in all of baseball.
Oh, hands down, as he should have been. 40 and 70.
And as it stands right now, he's not. Michael Harris, not crazy expensive. Matt Olson, not crazy expensive. Like, you've signed these guys to big deals that are, I would say, below market. So when you have guys get hurt and they go down for a little while, it doesn't hurt as bad as if you're paying Acuna $40 million.
Yeah.
So, committing to these guys long term may not be. He may be looking back on that as maybe not the best decision that he made, but at least he signed them to friendly enough deals where he can afford to surround them with depth. So when it happens, they're prepared for it.
Yeah. So Austin Riley was signed for 10 years, 212, so $21 million this year.
Yep, which for a top tier third baseman's a good deal.
Matt Olson is signed for 8 years through 2029 at $22 million across the board every year. Acuna is at 17 million this year. And then in 2027, they got a team option for $10 million. Oh, no, $17 million team option. Sorry. And then in 2028, he's got another team option there. And then he's a free agent in 2029.
Yeah. So you're getting Acuna for like half a market value in 2028.
Yeah.
17
Strider.
million bucks a year for Acuna is a freaking bargain.
Yo, Strider, 6 years, 75 million. He made $1 million this year, 4 million next year, and then 20 million in 26, 22, and 27, 22, and 28.
And Garrett Cole's making 30.
Yeah.
Like again, like Anthopoulos signed these guys all to what I would consider to be below market team friendly deals by making the longer term commitment. So is committing to those guys long term a bit painful? Yeah. But he signed them to friendly enough deals that you can withstand it.
Yeah.
That to me is the genius of Alex Anthopoulos. He's willing to make the bold move to lock somebody up long term on friendlier terms to keep that core intact, but to do it in a way where he can still provide depth around them.
And if he trades it away, it's not an absolute, like, what am I trying to say? It doesn't handcuff you in trying to deal someone away because their contract's unobtainable.
If you were to trade Acuna right now with 4 years at 17 million bucks per season, teams would give you every prospect they have.
Right.
Because they'd be paying double that if they signed him on the open market.
Right. Yeah,
like it's I mean 21 million for Austin Riley, 22 million for Matt Olson. Those guys are getting probably 80% of market value, 75% of market value. It's that team is loaded because it's all team friendly deals.
Yeah. Ozzy Albies is sitting on 7 million, 7 million, 4 million. What a steal for that dude.
Right? I mean, it's almost wrong. I mean, it's almost not right that Alex Anthopoulos has gotten these contracts signed.
David Fletcher getting paid $6 million this year, just to put that in perspective.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, most people are going, who?
Yeah.
I mean, the deals are also team friendly that core is going to be together for a while and they're going to be able to add to it.
Yeah, but if they remain injury prone, or you have another injury season like this year, what does he do? Do we see a shakeup? Does he stick with him? What do you think?
I mean, I think if you're Alex Anthopoulos, that's when you go test the waters and say, okay, hey, Spencer Strider can't stay healthy. Is there a trade partner for him that'll take a chance? Is there another role we could put him in? Does he become a closer? Does he go the John Smoltz route of I'm just going to come in and throw really hard for 20 pitches?
Yeah.
And now he's your closer, and 20 million bucks for a elite closer is also not a bad contract.
Ivan Diaz.
So exactly. So the nice thing is they've got all kinds of options.
Yeah.
You could trade all those guys for a massive basket of prospects for every single one of them because they're team friendly contracts and just start over if you wanted.
Yeah, it's fair.
That's why Anthopoulos is always rated as one of the best executives season after season after season, because people look at that roster he's assembled and the cost and they're all like, how? Yeah. Like, are you making these guys sign these contracts at gunpoint? Like, how are you getting these guys to agree to this?
Well, it's also like, when you have a core like that is coming off a World Series win in 21, like they're successful. Like it's easy that like those guys in the clubhouse are like, yeah, we all want to stay together. Like this is a no-brainer. So like, are they taking team friendly deals? I don't know if they're necessarily, talking about, hey, like I'm only going to take 4 million this year. You should only take 6. I'm not saying they're doing that, but
no,
it makes it easier to be like, yeah, I want to stay with this core. Like we're good. This is fun.
Yeah, and Atlanta's not a bad place to be. Weather's good, city is cool, ballpark's beautiful, fans are ravenous for that team to win.
Yeah,
and Snitker's a great guy to play for.
Yeah, like, absolutely.
Good deal overall.
Well, Milwaukee's what we got? 3-2.
Yeah, 3-2. They just
Mets
they
got
just
second
put a
and
run
third
across. Yeah, the Mets are trying to take it back.
with Lindor up. What do we
Yeah,
got?
nothing's out of the realm of possibility here.
2 outs. I walk Frankie Lindor here.
To face who? Alonso?
Yeah, thank you. Like, why would
Are they
you even
walking
take?
him?
Yeah, why would you?
Oh no! Wait,
Oh, hold on.
they got Iglesias hitting behind him.
Yeah,
What?
I don't know. Murphy's saying something.
Oh, on-field delay.
Oh, never mind. They're gonna pitch to him.
Okay. Why not? Your boy Jackson Churio hit a rocket tonight.
Dude, opposite field. That was nuts.
Yeah, that was impressive. That was a bomb.
Oh, now they're talking. They said that there was 4 fingers put up, but
Wait.
Murphy.
Yeah, intentionally walked. So bases loaded for Iglesias, who's actually come up pretty big for them.
Yeah, that hit the other night was massive.
But help me understand this lineup. So the Mets are going Lindor, Iglesias, Vientos, who's been hot. So I mean, I get it. Nimmo, Alonso, JD Martinez, then Marte, Taylor, and Alvarez. Vientos and Nimmo are hitting 3-4. Alonso and Martinez 5-6.
Yeah, I mean,
And don't get me wrong, Vientos he's hitting 429 in the series. He's been red hot for like 2 months.
yeah.
But I'm looking at the lineup going, what on earth? That was a terrible pitch to swing at.
Iglesias 337 on the season. I didn't realize it was that high.
Yeah, and how many at bats?
Well, not that many, probably, but
12.
most likely.
270 at bats.
Whatever. Still 337.
It is, which this is not a guy known for his bat.
No.
Still not known for his bat after that at bat. Holy cow.
Yeah.
That was not even competitive.
Yeah. So what do you think the Padres' chances are here then?
I think
realistic.
I think the Padres steamroll the Braves as we're seeing. And if the Padres win, I got to pull up the bracket. Who is next for them? The Dodgers. So.
And if this offense stays as hot as they are, man, I don't think the Dodgers can hold them.
I like the Padres against the Dodgers. I think the Padres are going to come in with their pitching lined up again. I like the Padres against the Dodgers, and I think that's a series they could win. I think if LA is going to lose, I think that San Diego is one of the better bets to beat them.
Yep. And if you're the Dodgers, you cannot have Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts go 0 for 13 in a series.
No, but that's their MO. They both have really poor playoff stats. So I think that I mean if you so give me Cease and King in games 1 and 2 against Yamamoto and who?
Bueller?
Stone? I mean, who's their game 2 pitcher?
It wouldn't be Walker Bueller?
I think he's pitched so poorly they wouldn't want to.
I don't know.
Let's see.
Yeah, Freddie Freeman in the 2023 NLDS against
Jack Flaherty. It'd be Yamamoto followed by Flaherty.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I was like, who was there? Yeah, so it's right now. Stone is hurt. Glasnow is hurt. So you're right now for starters. You got Flaherty, Yamamoto, Bueller, Knack, and Kershaw. Yamamoto's Yamamoto. Flaherty pitched really well against San Diego last time. Buehler's been a bit of a train wreck. Clayton Kershaw, we know his playoff history. So you could end up with Yu Darvish, Dylan Cease, Michael King versus Yamamoto, Flaherty, and Buehler or Kershaw. I mean, maybe
Kershaw's out, isn't he?
I thought he was back on.
Is he back off that bone spur?
That's a good question. I thought. No, he's not. All right.
Yeah. Last year in the postseason, Freddie Freeman was 1 for 10, 12 plate appearances. So
they were atrocious.
Mookie Betts was 0 for 11. Yeesh.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if I'm the Dodgers, my biggest question is who is pitching?
No, right. I mean, let's call it how it is. Ohtani is definitely a catalyst and a huge difference in that lineup.
Yes.
But again, baseball's the ultimate individual team game. Does Shohei Ohtani put you over the top to at least get you out of the divisional round? But I don't know. If Ohtani does Ohtani things, then yes.
But I think the problem is Ohtani only does Ohtani things if he's got guys behind him. But if Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts are putting up offers, then why would you pitch to Ohtani?
Right.
I mean, sure, maybe he steals a couple bases. Okay. But he can't beat me if he's stranded on second base every time.
Right. I don't know. It's interesting for sure.
I honestly, I think the Dodgers, to me, the Dodgers are not the favorite in the NL. I think there's still too many question marks. I think the Phillies are the favorite in the NL, and they have their own set of question marks. But I think Mets Phillies will be a good matchup. I do think the Phillies probably win that one. LA San Diego, I think, is a coin flip. And then it could be a really interesting NLCS.
Yeah. I think no matter who matches up right now with the teams remaining, it could be. Saying that the Padres win, Mets win, although this is a close ball game in Milwaukee right now.
Yeah, it's a tight one.
I think NL could go anyway, really. But
yeah, but and we're in a spot right now where we could literally have 4 sweeps, and there's no baseball tomorrow.
Right.
Which
is why I said I wanted to go on tonight and not tomorrow, just in case there wasn't. But
my thinking was, no, we'll go Thursday. We'll watch whatever 1-1 series is playing, but there may not be one.
Yeah. Brewers got the tying run on.
Yeah, I mean, San Diego's in control of Atlanta right now, and Atlanta's not putting up much of a fight.
Yeah, and Musgrove's going. They're not even pitching Cease. No,
because they're lining him up already to start the next series. I mean, no disrespect to Atlanta Braves, but if I'm Schilt and I'm looking at that lineup coming in, I'm saving a little bit, feeling comfortable that I can get past them.
Yep.
I'm not. I mean, and Cease pitched what? He pitched in that Dodgers series to end the season, so.
Yeah.
So you're not going to rush him. You got enough other horses.
Does the NL start on Saturday as well?
I think it all starts on Saturday.
It all starts on Saturday?
I thought so. Yeah, Saturdays everybody plays.
Okay.
108, 408, 638, 838. And then Sunday it's NL only, Monday it's AL only, Tuesdays NL only, Wednesdays everybody, Thursdays AL only.
Gotcha. Darn.
And for these, we move. Oh, now we start getting TBS and Fox Sports 1. And oh man, I hate when they moved all these different stations.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah.
And then Fox has everything through the World Series.
Oh. All right. I want to throw out a couple trivia questions to you
Oh,
while we're
you
here.
would. All right.
I would. So this is postseason trivia. So I'm probably going to do this on Monday too, but I just wanted to throw these at you right now.
Let's go.
Okay. 1994 was supposed to be the first year for the expanded playoff, meaning one wild card team from each league. Which two teams were in line for the wild card spots when the strike happened?
Oh man, back in '94. Were the Expos one of them?
They were in first. They were in first place. That
Oh,
was probably everyone
that's
says
right.
that was like the best team ever assembled, and they'd
It
never know
was.
because
Yeah, I knew they were good that year. I just could not remember if they were how good they were.
yeah.
All right. So '94.
These two teams ended up meeting in the World Series actually, eventually,
Like, okay,
a couple years later.
gotcha. Indians,
Indians is one.
Braves.
Braves. Yeah, nice.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember the Expos were good that season, and then got
Yeah.
robbed.
Yeah. All right. Which two teams have the most wild card series appearances? So that also counts as the one game playoffs as well.
Oh, okay. Wild card appearances. I feel like the Indians have been in a bunch of them.
It's not them.
The Yankees.
Yankees are one.
Is it two teams I'm looking for?
Yeah, one more.
How many teams? Okay. American League or National?
American. Same division.
Red Sox?
Yeah, Red Sox. 7 each.
Huh.
Yeah. Thought that was interesting too.
That is interesting.
Yeah. All right. 2000, 2014, and 2023 have been the only times that both World Series teams were what?
Wild
Hints.
cards.
Yeah, I was going to say hint. Stick with the theme here. Yeah, wild card
Yeah,
team.
because I'm thinking 23. They were definitely both wild cards.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy.
So it was 2000.
2014 and 2023.
That's cool.
Yeah. All major league teams have earned a wild card spot in their franchise history, which I thought was kind of cool. But what
Oh, wow.
team was the last team to do so?
Oh, the Mariners,
Nope.
the Diamondbacks,
No, it's a good guess. Not them. It's a historic franchise.
Cubs.
No. National League East.
Oh, the Mets.
Nope.
Can't be the Braves.
Not the Braves.
Phillies.
It was the Phillies in 2022.
That was their first time as a wild card.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Pretty
know they
wild.
had I know when they won it all, they were the division winner.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess that makes sense because and then they had a long spell of not making the playoffs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty crazy. Then I was sent by one of our followers on Facebook here a couple different questions here. So let's see if I can find them real quick. Who's the only NL West team the Padres have never faced in the playoffs?
Only NOS team they've never faced in the playoffs.
Yeah.
We know we've played the Dodgers. We
Yeah.
They
They
did they play the D-backs last year?
if was it last year? D-backs played. Yeah, I think they went in there and won, and then they went to Dodger Stadium and won, and then went to Philly and won.
Yeah.
Oh
So then I
no!
would go.
The Diamondbacks went to Milwaukee, I think, and won.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Okay.
But they have they have played the Padres.
All right, then it's got to be the Giants.
It is the Giants, yeah. That was my guess. I was like Giants and D-backs because I remember the Matt Holiday sliding into home against the Padres,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and that was the
I remember
Rockies
that.
that they
Yeah.
were playing. So
And that was what in 13 when they went to the World Series.
yeah, and then they got swept by the Sox.
Oh, no, or
Was it?
07. What year was that? 07.
Oh, 07. Yeah,
Yeah, not 13. Wrong one.
yeah. Um, I think you know this one, but what Atlanta Braves player is the only athlete to play in a World Series and a Super Bowl?
Dion.
Yeah, Dion. I mean, it's an easy
I mean,
one.
Brian Jordan could have been another option.
Yeah. This is a wild one. I saw this on Facebook too a couple days ago, but what Atlanta Braves player holds the team record for at-bats without being hit by a pitch?
Wow.
And he played for 11 years.
So a name like Walt Weiss or Mark Lemke jump out at me, but
It's Mark Lemke.
is it is it really?
He played from 88 to 98, and he doesn't have a single hit by pitch in his career.
Wow.
He never got hit by a pitch.
That's amazing. I mean, granted, but he was the kind of guy that he wasn't a like a guy you were afraid of, so you didn't try to like bust him in so hard. You just tried to get him to ground out.
That's 3,664 plate appearances without a hit by pitch.
Holy cow! And then you got Anthony Rizzo who gets hit like twice a week.
At least, even when he's on the IL, he does.
Yeah. I think the dude gets hit in BP. I mean,
my God, dude, that's a
that's
lot
of
plate.
bats. Wow.
Yeah, because I mean, there's even some guys that don't crowd the plate, and a pitcher just loses a curveball or loses a grip.
A breaking ball just spins and gets you. Like, wow.
Yep, I thought that one was wild. I saw that too. I had it on my regular notes for the show. I was gonna put that one in, but yeah,
wow,
crazy. Yeah, so those are some pretty good ones, but
that's cool.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, this is. I feel like this playoffs has been already more exciting than last year's. Last year's was awesome.
Oh my!
I love last year's, but this has been incredible. And I think it's because the Tigers came out of nowhere. Like, we didn't know what we were going to get with the Royals. Like, we expected the Orioles to compete and not do that. Like, there's a lot of question marks this year about who's actually going to come out on top. Like, clearly you have your top of the line teams. You have your Yankees, you have your Dodgers. But these other teams could come in and put a big wrench in these big teams' plans. So.
Oh yeah, and I think the other part of it too is like you look around and like there's no Boston, there's no Tampa Bay, there's no Minnesota, there's no like a lot of the teams that you see like year after year after year aren't there. You still have your Phillies and Braves and Mets, but the Braves are limping in. LA and San Diego, you've seen them a few times. So like I think you do have your the Yankees and Orioles, we've seen them the last few years. Like you've got some of your usual suspects, but you also have like the Tigers and Kansas City and Cleveland and Milwaukee, which is a more exciting Milwaukee team than they've been in past years, although I wish they'd show it in the playoffs. It's like I feel like you've got a new crop and it's a different playoff.
Different
it's a different playoff atmosphere. Sure. Totally. I mean, it's these scrappy teams that could play good baseball.
It's crazy, man, because we sat here in the preseason and we're like, do we have to send a team from the AL Central to the playoffs? Like, do we do we really have to? And there's 3 of them. Like, I mean, I never in a million years, if someone during the preseason was like, "There, 3 AL Central teams will be in the playoffs," I'd be like, "Yeah, okay, buddy." Like,
Not
because you're thinking
not only
AL East has a shot. Like the Rays are
yeah,
always there, Orioles are there, Yankees there. Then the next division, hands down, is the AL West. You're thinking Mariners, Astros, Rangers to make the playoffs.
yep.
And that is not how it worked out. I mean,
No. And not only are
crazy.
there 3 AL Central teams in the playoffs, 3 of the 4 ALDS teams are AL Central teams.
Right. Yeah.
It's the Yankees against the AL Central.
Yeah.
And I
So,
mean, the games have been better. There haven't been. I feel like last year we had a bunch of lopsided blowouts early on. We haven't seen a lot of that. We've seen close games, tightly contested games, games that have been decided late. It's just been more exciting to watch, and it's been better baseball than let's wait and hit a 3-run home run.
yeah. Absolutely. Oh, Luis Ariz finally got out here.
I mean, it happens every so often, I guess.
Crazy. Yeah, I just and never in a million years I would have been like the Royals, Guardians, and Tigers of all teams at the beginning of the season would have gotten to the postseason. But
No, like
wow.
you look at this and you look at the teams in it, and you're like, really, the Detroit Tigers? The can. I know. Granted, I will say, Sean picked the Tigers. I picked Kansas City. I think you picked Cleveland. So I think we all.
No, I picked the Twins because I said it's
Oh,
the
that's right.
Twins. I go, it's the Twins until it's not. I mean, it seems like they had won the AL Central for the last, I don't know, what, 10,
Yeah.
12 years? But
Yeah, that's right. But I mean, I think like we picked some of these teams. I mean, I think you look at the playoffs. We all picked Houston. We all picked Baltimore. We all picked the Yankees. I picked KC. Sean picked Detroit. So like I think for the most part we covered most of the teams in the playoff on the AL side at least. Although
yeah,
they're surprising teams, they were teams that were on the rise. But it's just fun to have a playoff, have the playoff season with a bunch of new teams, new faces, young players, a lot of excitement.
thank
It's
you
not
for
the
overlooking my Blue Jays pick, by the way.
yeah. We're not going to talk about that. I mean, I thought Tampa would be the last wild card spot. So if that makes you feel any better,
I'm the Blue Jays, man. I mean, I know we're talking playoffs here, but that organization, what the hell do they do going forward? What do they
it's a
do?
dumpster fire.
And it
I
it
don't
really
I don't
it
know.
really it really shouldn't be. They have decent pitching, and they have 2 studs in the middle of their lineup. I mean, 3 if you count George Springer, and they
Yeah.
can't do anything.
No, the bullpen has got question. I mean, and you're starting. I mean, I think the big thing that hurt them is Manoah just like forgetting how to pitch. I think they had
I
really
mean,
counted
yeah,
on
that's a
him.
big one.
I think they counted on him being the ace. So you would have had Manoah. You would have gone Manoah, Gosman, Barrios, and then follow that up with Bassett, and then whoever else they can pick up. That's a
Right.
pretty good rotation.
Yeah.
But when Manoah falls off and everybody moves up, now you've all of a sudden got a hole in that rotation that they never filled. And for whatever reason, that offense can't all seem to be going at once. Vladdy had a monster season,
Yeah, but it doesn't
but
matter.
he never really had like a consistent second person with him. It was Bichette for a little while, and then he'd fall off. Then he got hurt. Then you had Springer for a little while, but he was wildly inconsistent. They lacked a consistent presence.
Yeah, Bo Bichette only played in half the games. He only had
Yeah, I
81
mean,
games. That hurts.
he missed a big chunk. So I don't know. There's a lot of problems there, but the core of that team is so good. They should be better than they are.
I really thought. I mean, the rumors surrounding Vladdy getting dealt was, I mean, pretty rampant there for a while at the end of July.
Yeah,
but
and he had a
they were
massive season.
Yeah, I think that would have been the time to move him.
I agree.
I mean, trade high, right?
Yeah. And I mean, I get it. They want to keep the core intact and try to try to fill the holes, and maybe they'll surprise us and make some moves that work. But they've never replaced Manoah in that rotation. I think that's been a big problem. The bullpen's been incredibly inconsistent, and when they get a lead, they can't hold it. But for whatever reason, that offense just can't seem to consistently get going.
Yeah. I mean, 30 and 100 for Vlad, 323 average. I mean, 199 hits. He was one shy of 200. Dang. But, I mean, you got what? Around you got Davis Snyder. You had Danny Jansen for, the biggest time. Like, I don't know. It's wild.
Well, and we mentioned the Red Sox, and you look at the trades the Red Sox made this year to try to appease the fan base. They were going to compete. Danny Jansen was a disaster. Garcia was a disaster. Quinn Priester showed some flashes. He had a good start to end the season. He looked okay in AAA. But when they made the Danny Jansen trade, that's the first thing we said was why? You traded him, you DFA Reese McGuire. They're the same player. Like right. You didn't go anywhere. And I think that's why the Blue Jays are happy to let Jansen go, because he was having a miserable season. The Red Sox are another team that probably a one or two good trades and they would have been a legitimate playoff team, but instead they went bargain shopping and finished at 500 again.
Yeah, and I mean, that move didn't make any sense to me either, because you had, at least with Reese McGuire, you had a left-handed stick in the lineup. So you had right. Connor Wong from the right side, you had Reese McGuire from the left. And then when Cassis went down, like Wong played a little bit of first base there. But when you trade for Jansen and you get rid of that left-handed, quote-unquote, platoon Reese McGuire, now you got two right-handed catchers. It doesn't really do anything for you. It doesn't make you better.
It did not. They did nothing to actually improve. They just made moves to, I think, appease the fan base.
Yeah. But I don't know.
It's a challenge.
What do the Red Sox have to do in the offseason to appease the fans or make their team better, or both?
Well, I think when you look around the diamond, the Red Sox are pretty solid at catcher with Connor Wong. I think third base is obviously fine. Shortstop, I mean, if Trevor Story ever plays a full season, that'd be fantastic. And it's not just like Chris Sale. It's freak injuries. Like the guy lays out for a line drive and misses most of the season.
That was a hard one to watch too.
It was tough. I think you learned, and you have a guy in David Hamilton who's potentially your second baseman. The guy was fifth in the league in steals, and he only played 3/4 of the season. I think David Hamilton could be your potential second baseman of the future. Tristan Cassis, when he's healthy, is proven he's a good hitter. I think Yoshida is a bust.
I do too.
I think he cannot play defense to save his life. He is not a potent enough hitter to be a DH. And I think the Red Sox should try to move him, because I don't think he's a fit for that team. I think Jarren Duran's a stud. I think Wilyer Abreu is a stud. Rafaela is a stud. I mean, there's that group can easily patrol that outfield. You could argue that maybe Rafaela goes to left and Duran goes to center and Abreu goes to right, or maybe you flip flop Abreu and Rafaela in the corners. But that's an outfield that would cover some serious ground. And then you've got a bullpen that's a mess. Thank God Kenley Jansen, that experiment's over. He was good, but he didn't really fit.
What was up with all that drama at the end of the season? He went to LA or something like that. I only saw
he left.
Parts of it.
He left. He got injured, and they basically ruled him out for the season. He left. He didn't stick around, and a lot of the veteran players were pissed about it. And then Alex Cora tried to defuse the situation by saying, "No, I told him he could. I told him it was all set. He can get out of town." And Kenley Jansen's been very vocal that he wants to finish his career in LA, and he's hoping that he can go back there and they can find a spot for him. So I mean, he's done in Boston. Clearly, that didn't fit. 2 years in a row, they tried to trade him at the break.
Right.
The rest of the bullpen was a mess, and honestly, the starting pitching after the hot first half came back to reality. Houck was good. Cutter Crawford ended up being exactly who he thought he was. Not having Giolito hurt. Pivetta was Jekyll and Hyde. Bayo is Jekyll and Hyde. And I think when you look at it, the Red Sox starting pitching is still a hole. The bullpen is a hole. But like you look at the Red Sox final splits. I mean, the Red Sox were a +4. They scored 751 runs, which puts them in the upper third of the league. But they gave up 747, which puts them in the bottom third.
Yeah.
And that's not just the bullpen. The starting pitching also wasn't great.
I completely forgot that Lucas Giolito was even on this team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he never pitched because he got hurt in spring training.
Yeah. I still don't think he makes much of a difference for that team, though, this year. Necessarily.
No, I mean, you don't have that. The issue the Red Sox had is when Giolito went down, they didn't have an answer to replace him. So too often, Cora was basically throwing a bullpen game in the 5-starter hole because he had no. That's when you see like Bernardino come out and pitch 2 innings to start the game.
Right.
So they never. Honestly, the Red Sox had a 4-man staff, to be perfectly honest. And, Bayo wasn't great. Crawford wasn't great. Houck was good, but it was a tale of 2 halves of the season. So I think the Red Sox need bullpen help. They need another starting pitcher. And other than that, I think the lineup's probably okay. You scored a boatload of runs. Your problem's not scoring runs. It's not giving them up.
Right.
They need pitching. They need to go into this offseason and go get pitching. I would love to see them go to camp with 7 starters and figure out who makes it.
I'm with you. Can never have enough pitching. But
yep. And maybe a guy like Priester can end up in the bullpen, and that's his path to the major leagues as he builds up his experience and confidence. But that team just they don't pitch. No. And the first half, the starting pitching was really good. Second half, it was not.
I was just going to say that because you saw the improvements they made with Andrew Bailey came in, their approach to hitters, they're throwing a lot more off-speed stuff than they ever had in years past. And they looked really good early, and then we just kind of fell apart.
Yeah, so the Red Sox were 17th in the league in all of Major League Baseball, the 4.04 ERA. The Red Sox had 31 blown saves as a team. I mean, gave up 652 earned runs, 747 runs in total. They gave up 189 home runs as a team.
Yeah.
A 1.26 whip and a 2.46 batting average against. Like not a formidable pitching staff.
No.
So it's not like a matter of like starters versus relievers. They weren't good on either.
Yeah. I'm just looking down the starting pitcher free agents here. And I mean, there's some decent ones. I mean, there's a couple really good ones, but I mean, you got Corbin Burns, obviously, right?
I think the Red Sox should pay him whatever he wants, but they won't.
Yeah. Garrett Cole can opt out, and there's rumors out there saying that he might just do that. But I don't know. And maybe I think Sean on Monday said he might just opt out just to get more money with the Yankees, possibly. Like there's already something kind of in place.
Yeah, I've heard a couple of different takes on that. I've heard people say Garrett Cole doesn't really like New York. Although he was a Yankees fan growing up, he's not really loving being in New York. I've also heard people say that he wants to get paid at the top of the market, which he is.
Right.
But he's not like the top anymore. So he may basically tell the Yankees, I'm going to opt out and I want you to sign me to a new deal for more money. I don't know. It's not like he's that far off of the top of the market for it to be that big a deal.
So does that then determine what Blake Snell will do? Because if Cole opts out, he's obviously going to set the market, right? Because he'd be the best pitcher on the free agent market. Would then Snell stay
so.
for? Do you think Snell would stay for another year and then test the free agent market so then he could set the bar?
I think Snell's gone no matter what. I think that
so?
I don't think he wanted to be in. I mean, he basically told the Giants that he was skipping his last start because he didn't think it was worth pitching.
Oh, that's right.
Because they weren't in contention and the team they were playing wasn't in contention. I think that says everything you need to know about Blake Snell. He was already out the door before the season was over because he was done. I think he goes no matter what and goes back into the market. Now maybe he re-signs with the Giants after all, but I don't think that's where he wanted to be. But I don't think he had a choice. He had to take whatever deal was on the table.
Well, I mean, this last offseason was a mess. So, I mean.
Well, it was. And Jordan Montgomery's pitched terribly. He's a free agent again. It's not going to be a good offseason for him.
And the Diamondbacks front office and saying that stuff about Montgomery. You saw that, right? And then Trevor Bauer like piggybacked on it. So the front office of the Diamondbacks came out and was like, signing Jordan Montgomery was a huge mistake.
Well, yeah, it was. He was terrible.
Like, I mean, pretty much flat out word for word, that's what he said. Trevor Bauer's like, oh, well, you could have signed a Cy Young pitcher for league minimum, but whatever, the whole Trevor Bauer mess. But yeah,
love me some Trevor Bauer.
But again, I think like Jordan Montgomery was not. I wouldn't even say he was wretched. He was really, really bad.
He was terrible. He was terrible,
but the off season that Boris had set the table for that. Like, it's really hard to not get in a groove if you don't go to spring training and start your season in what was it, mid-April he finally signed?
Wasn't it later than that?
It might have been. But I mean, either way, like you've been doing what you've been doing for so long, and then all of a sudden, a wrench is thrown into it. You're not on a team. You're not going to spring training and getting in a groove. It's just.
And Montgomery was way late to the party.
Snell late. It says in March here. But still, I mean, that's the end of spring training.
I thought he was way later than that.
I did too. Maybe he just didn't come in until later because he had to ramp up.
Oh, yeah, D-backs owner Montgomery, a horrible signing, a horrible mistake.
Yeah, I'm telling you. But yeah, Boris has got a lot of recovery work to do this offseason because he completely botched a lot of players this past one. But like I said, I think it was Ohtani kind of just threw everything off because everyone expected a huge contract. Like the numbers that everyone was talking about was 600. Then all of a sudden the Dodgers come out. It's like, nope, 700. And everyone's like, oh, what?
It started off with, can he break 500? Well, do we think he'll break 600? And then it was all of a sudden like, no, he's going to sign for 700, all deferred. And it's like, what?
Yeah. And it just kind of threw everything off. But other starting pitchers of note that are free agents. Max Fried from Atlanta. Does Atlanta try to keep him there, or do they let him walk?
His injury track record, I think, is a concern. I think his stuff is great. I think his injury track record is a concern.
Oh, Brewers just tied it up. Jackson Chourio again.
Dude, he is like all they've got right now.
Wow. That kid's a stud.
Yeah, it's wild what he's doing.
Yeah, so you think the injury track record?
Max Fried is a great pitcher when he's healthy.
Right.
But I think you look at it and So let's see. In 2024, so coming off an injury last year, he made 29 starts and he was good. 11-10, 3.25 ERA, pitched 174 innings. The year before that, he pitched 77 innings. Then he pitched 185, 165, 165. So like he's been a 25 to 28 start guy. So he's there for most of the season. 2023 was a rough one for him when he missed half the year and he was so good. And then this year he was back after the injury, but he wasn't really the same guy. ERA was like 0.75 of a point higher. WHIP was higher. Like everything was worse. And maybe that's just him getting back into the groove, but he wasn't the same guy. A lot of walks that he doesn't usually walk a lot of guys. He just seemed off. And I think it's a question mark for the Braves as to like, is this just was he still getting back his bearings after an injury, or is this who he now is?
Yeah. So I mean, it's an
but
interesting piece.
He's 30. I mean, he's 30, so it's you still got there's still 4 or 5 years worth of good service time left in him. I mean, he's been in the league for 8 years, which doesn't feel like he's been around that long.
No, it doesn't.
But been in the league 8 years. I mean, he was a Cy Young runner-up in 22. I mean, the guy's got the stuff. He just for the injury that he had last year that derailed his season, just hasn't come back from yet.
I never would have guessed 8 years for him.
Yeah, I think a lot of teams are going to be calling to ask about him.
Yeah. Who else we got on this list? I mean, Verlander said today, released a statement, said that he's not done. Like he doesn't want to be done.
Yeah. He feels like he's got more in the tank.
Dude, you're 42. I don't know.
Well, and this was a tough year for him. I mean, he missed a bunch of time. He wasn't super effective when he was back. It kind of came and went. But like you said, I mean, this is a guy that's, he turns 42 in the offseason.
Yeah. I
mean, how much is really left?
Yeah.
I mean,
Nick. Yeah.
5 and 6 with a 5.48 ERA. He gave you 90 innings and made 17 starts. So he pitched half the season for you, and he was. Let's put it this way: you left him off the playoff roster. That's how much faith you had in him.
Yeah.
But in 2023, he pitched 162 innings between the Mets and Houston. Pretty full season. He was 13-8 with a 3.22.
Yeah, I mean, obviously not the Justin Verlander of old that we're used to seeing.
No.
But he's still serviceable pitching.
2022, he's 18-4 with a 1.75 and wins the Cy Young. Last year, he was 13-8 with a 3.22, so still very serviceable. And this year, he was a mess, 5 and 6 with a 5.48.
Yeah.
But this is a guy with 19 years on that arm. He missed all of 21 due to injury. He missed half of this year due to injury. He didn't pitch it. He made one start in 2020. So really he missed all of 20 and 21 with injuries.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not a young guy anymore. But could he still be a serviceable starting pitcher? Yeah, probably. But he's not the 18-4 1.75 Justin Verlander anymore.
No. But first ballot Hall of Famer, no doubt.
I mean, I would think so. I mean, he's got 262 career wins.
Gotta be. 262
career wins, a 3.3 career ERA, and 3,416 strikeouts. I mean,
he's in. There's no question.
I don't see why he wouldn't go in.
Yeah.
And over his career, he's averaged 9 Ks per 9 innings.
Yeah. Other good pitchers on the market here. What do we got? Merrill Kelly's got a club option, so I would say the Diamondbacks are going to take that.
They'd be crazy not to bring him back.
Yeah. Unrestricted here. We got Shane Bieber. Scherzer could be paid by his 8th franchise if he signs for someone else at this point.
Dude, that guy just keeps layering contracts and keeps getting paid.
Crazy. Patrick Corbin's an interesting one. He's 35. Could some team sign him and take a flyer on him?
I mean, maybe.
I mean, he's not the Patrick Corbin he was in 18 when they won the World Series, but
No, I mean he did prove this year he's still got something left after really being lost. I mean, really, since they won the World Series in 19, he's done very little.
6-13 this year. But I mean, that's also
but,
with a 5.62 ERA.
Yeah, if you look at his second half, he was much better in the second half than he was in the first. But he's not not who he used to be. Would somebody take a flyer on him with an incentive-heavy deal and make him the fifth starter? Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But he's not going to get. I don't think he's going to have a lot of suitors. And then Shane Bieber. I mean, this guy, he missed half the season in 21. He missed a third of the season in 23. He missed all of this year, basically, pitched 12 innings. Another guy with crazy good stuff that
can't stay on
has
the field.
A tough time getting on the mound.
Yeah. Who else we got?
But before that, he was. I can't even really say that. He's had 1 year. He's had 2 years, so he's got 7 years under his belt. 6, not counting the COVID year, where he did actually pitch the whole season.
And won a Cy Young that year.
Right.
If you want to count.
But he's made 20 starts. So he's made 20 starts, 33 starts, 16, 31, 21, 2.
Yeah. Thanks.
But great stuff.
Yeah. We got.
I mean, this season he made 2 starts. He was 2-0 with an ERA of 0, and he had 20 Ks in 12 innings.
And then put on the shelf.
And then done for the year.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine how much better that Cleveland Guardians team is if he's around.
Scary. Who else we got of note here? Severino, he's 31.
And he had a bounce back year.
Yeah, I was going to say, he kind of revitalized his career here, pitching the way he has for the Mets.
Yeah, I mean, he was 11-7 with a 3.91, 182 innings, 161 strikeouts. I mean, again, not the Luis Severino that was 19-8 for the Yankees in 2018, but he's proven that he's still got some life in that arm after
Mitchell,
a lot of injuries.
Garrett Mitchell with a solo shot, 4-3 Brewers.
Oh, boy. 5-3 Brewers now.
Oh, 5-3. Oh, there must have been a runner on that I missed.
Yeah, Adames was on base.
Okay. That was a Phil Maton.
Wow, look at this. Look at Milwaukee battle back. And sure is. Might be the only game we have to watch tomorrow.
Sean's probably crapping himself right now. Let's see who else we got. Frankie Montas, mutual option, so we kind of don't know what that's going to – because he's with Milwaukee right now, right?
Yes.
I believe he is.
Yep. Cincinnati, isn't he?
No,
I think
that's right.
They traded him to Milwaukee. That's right. They moved him.
Hey, I think he's.
and he's.
I think he started this game. I think he started game 2.
Yeah, so he's with Milwaukee now. He got traded, and he was not great this year. He was 7-11 with a 4.84.
Robbie Ray can opt out, but he's coming off injury
again.
Yep. John Means is a free agent, but again, injuries. Have no idea what his status is.
So
that poor
Robbie
guy
Ray. No, it's awful. But Robbie Ray made 32 starts in 21, 32 starts in 22, 1 start in 23, 7 in 24. He's pitched 8 games in the last 2 years.
Oof.
Brutal.
This one's heartbreaking too. The John Means,
so sad.
That kid came up, throws a no-hitter in his first year and a half with the Orioles, gets hurt. He has only made 73 career starts in 7 years.
Yep. 2 in 22, 4 in 23, 4 in 24. He's made 10 starts in 3 years.
Yeah, it's sad. That one hurts. So I don't know. So this was all stemmed from the Red Sox. Do they get pitching? I don't know who's
There's
out there.
there's not great options, that's for sure. It's not super
I
deep.
mean, yeah, other than the top 3 or 4 we mentioned, Burns, if Snell opts out, Fried,
Yeah,
Flaherty.
there's not a ton of options.
See, I thought the Sox were totally all in for Flaherty, and there was another name that was connected to us at the deadline. Oh no, it was in the offseason because he ended up signing with Detroit, and then Detroit ended up shipping him at the deadline to LA. But it was Flaherty and Snell. We totally thought the Red Sox were going to make a bid on him because we're like, oh, they signed Tyler O'Neill. We're going to spend this offseason. And then it never happened.
Yep.
Hey, bud, thanks. Yeah, I'm pulling for him, but Milwaukee just came back hard. So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
So Mets have 3 outs to work some magic, which they've done more with less.
Yep. Especially if Frankie Lindor comes up.
Yeah.
This is a hard guy to do it off, though. 1.25 ERA. Whew.
Yeah. So, sorry, who's in the game?
Devin Williams.
Oh, good. That might be one of the best changeups I've ever seen.
It's gross.
In my whole life.
I mean, we've seen some good ones.
We've seen Santana.
Keith Folk.
Santana, Pedro, Keith Folk. We've seen some really good ones. Frankie Lindor popped out.
This is hilarious.
Yeah, love it. I just responded back that's amazing.
Yep, I love that. So good. Score of the Mets games 5-3. Top of the 9th, 1 out.
Yeah, Milwaukee leads.
They just took the lead in the bottom of the 8th. Tied it on a Jackson Chourio homer and then a Garrett Mitchell 2-run shot to take the lead. But crazy.
Good thing Jackson Chourio is carrying them.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Jose Iglesias flies out. 2 outs. Maybe we will have a game tomorrow after all.
Maybe. Brewers not out. Dude, they were down to their last 4 outs of the season. It's crazy. How can you not love baseball?
I'm totally with you. That's the beauty of this game is it really isn't over till it's over.
Yeah.
Yogi Berra was so right.
Right.
Oh, Jesse Winker coming in for Luis Angel Acuna. Jesse Winker has been huge for them.
Yeah. He didn't even play at all against the Braves that series. That makeup doubleheader.
Oh, yeah, no. He's had some big hits for them.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not. Go ahead.
It's so gross that Williams can throw this 85-mile-per-hour like space ball changeup in any count, and then also throw 96 at you just for the hell of it.
It's not fair. What these guys have in their arsenal now, it's not right. It really isn't. The lateral movement, the downward action they get. I mean, look at that changeup. Get out of here with that.
What are you going to do with that? Like, even if you do hit it, it's not going anywhere. I mean, it's unreal. And then he just throws 96 at you like it's no big deal.
Yeah.
Is Harrison Bader on the Mets?
Yeah.
I thought he got hurt and then they cut him. I thought they DFA'd him.
No. I'm pretty sure he's been there all year.
He has, but I thought he was hurt for a bit and then they let him go. Kind of forgot about him. 97-mile-per-hour fastball, just because why not? This can't be a comfortable bat against Williams.
It's so hard because like he throws the changeup so much that you almost have to sit on it, and then
You do. You
he
almost have
blows
to
100.
you've got to think about it backwards. Now he goes fastball up, set up the changeup down. See if he actually throws the changeup down next pitch. Probably go down and away with it. There it is. Changeup down and away. He actually got a good piece of it, but that's the ball game.
Dang. We'll see you tomorrow night.
So he goes fastball up and away to set up the changeup down and away, and Jesse Winker actually got a good piece of it. But he can play with you because he's got that. He can back up that changeup with 96, 97.
Yeah, that's what, like, he's Keith Folk, but Keith Folk didn't have 100 in his back pocket.
No, Keith Folk had, 88 to 90.
Right. But it was
didn't matter
enough to
because the
keep
changeup was so good.
Right.
It just didn't matter.
Yeah.
All right, so that's the ball game. Milwaukee takes game 2, so we will have baseball tomorrow.
Yeah. And if the Braves don't start doing something, they'll be done as well.
The Braves scored last inning.
Yeah. We got a 5-2 ball game.
But 5-2, they're still a long way away.
Yeah. Man.
Still got the work cut out for him.
What a play by Machado. Crazy.
Oh, it was a Soler homer.
Yeah, of course it was.
Yeah.
But all right, let's kind of go back to the free agents here while we're I'm interested because I've been following the Diamondbacks. I'm interested to see where Christian Walker fits. Now, he's a lot older than a lot of people think too. He's 34.
Yes.
So, I mean, I know we talked about Pete Alonso earlier about possibly, Cardinals, Cubs, Mariners. Does Christian Walker, do the Diamondbacks, try to keep him there, or do you see him moving somewhere?
I think the Diamondbacks would be the best place for him to land and stay, where he's comfortable and he fits in really well with that team and what they do. I view Christian Walker as kind of plan B for the teams that don't get Alonso. So I could see teams like the Mariners, like the Cardinals, like the Cubs, that would, if they can't get Alonso, I could see them going to Walker as a second option.
Yeah.
Walker will be cheaper. Walker doesn't K at the same rate as Alonso. I mean, he doesn't. I mean, he still strikes out 125 times a year, but he doesn't K at quite the same rate as Alonso. Slightly better batting average, a little bit less power. So he's kind of like the discount Pete Alonso.
Yeah.
So I see him as being a second option for those teams, but I think ultimately Arizona probably wants him back, and I think he wants to be back there.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I don't really see him going somewhere else. Like, he's been such a staple in the middle of that lineup, just like Ketel Marte. It'd be hard to see him in a different uniform too at this point. I mean, I know Marte came from Seattle, but that was early on. But yeah, don't worry. They won't be in Sacramento for long. Man. What about the shortstop here in Milwaukee, Adames?
Illusionic.
Can you hear me now? Are you good? I'm good. Yeah, I got you. Where do you think Adonis is going to go for Milwaukee?
Oh, Nick, there having some technical difficulties here.
Can you hear me now or good? Is that better? That was weird.
See it, but maybe that works. Yeah, and we did talk a little bit about the last game. I'm not sure if you saw it. There's a really cool clip after the game. The grounds crew was out there taking home plate out. They had some guys with shovels that were putting dirt into bottles for people so they could leave the ballpark with some dirt. It was incredibly sad. It was also sad to see the stadium so full of like rabid fans that have been dying to come to a game for a long time, but there's nothing to cheer for. But we talked about a little bit on Monday, but it is I don't know. It's a sad moment to see them leave Oakland. I understand why they're leaving Oakland. I don't know that it's necessarily the right decision, but it is sad. And I don't know what's going to come of Vegas and Sacramento and all the stops in between. But it'll sure be fun to watch because it's going to be a mess.
I know. I made the statement on Monday that I'm not even sure if the Vegas deal happens. Like I won't believe it until first pitch is thrown in the brand new stadium. And there's fans in the seats, and the game happens. Like I'm not convinced. And with Salt Lake, it was Salt Lake City trying to enter the sports fold here with the hockey team moving there. Sounds like they already got the Jazz there. Like sounds like they want the 4 major sports there somehow, some way. It would not surprise me if Vegas falls through and they end up in Salt Lake. I made that, I was like, it's just me spitballing, but
yeah,
it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, no, if I'm Salt Lake City, I am talking to the Oakland Athletics and I'm talking to the Diamondbacks to figure out what their plans are because the Diamondbacks have a stadium issue. The Oakland Athletics had a stadium issue and have already left. If I'm Salt Lake, if I can't get an expansion team, I'm gonna attract somebody there by other means.
And that talk has really died down, like recently. You haven't heard anything. Like the beginning of the year, it was all about adding 2 more teams to the league, and we really haven't heard anything about it. Maybe it will come out during the offseason when baseball's kind of slowed down.
It will, because Manfred doesn't even want to make the decision on it until like what was it, 2028 or 29 when his 10 years up. Like it's still years away.
Yeah, John, that's what the mayor of the strip of Vegas was actually saying, was like it would be a logistical nightmare to get a team in downtown Vegas. There's no parking, there's no public transportation, and they got to do it 81 days out of the summer. So like, what are you going to do with all those, 30,000 plus cars or however big they're going to build the stadium? What are you going to do? Where are you going to put all those cars, all those people? How you get them there? They're probably staying in hotels on the strip, but how do you get them down to the ballpark on the other end of town? I don't know.
I mean, they're gonna have to go in. I think the site that this ballpark is going to be on, there's currently it's partially covered by a hotel, which I think they're going to tear down and put the ballpark on that and the adjoining lot. And it's going to be a smaller ballpark because they can only fit so much. They can't go wide and they can't go super tall. So I want to say it's only like a 30,000 seat ballpark. It's going to be one of the smallest ballparks in baseball, but it is 81 home games a year. It is more traffic on the strip. And the funny thing is that the mayor of Vegas, the city of Vegas doesn't control the strip. The county controls the strip. So the county is putting this deal together and the city doesn't want it. But the city has no say and can't stop it because they don't have jurisdiction over the strip. So it's funny because like the city is fighting the county and the county's waiting for a financing proposal from Fisher, which he hasn't sent yet. And without that, they can't move forward into the public financing and planning stage. So like this whole thing is just like it's just kind of circling, but nothing's really happening.
And that's what I mean, man. I don't know if this ends up getting done in the long haul.
I wouldn't be shocked if when all is said and done, they don't end up there and it's like, oh crap. That was a mistake.
Yeah. Just I don't know.
It would be such an A's thing to do all this and then not even end up there.
And then what? They spend 10 plus years in a minor league ballpark?
Maybe.
I don't know. How do you think it's going to look being in Sacramento next year?
Well, they're going to be playing in a minor league ballpark, and there's a lot of players that have played there that are saying, yeah, it's a small minor league ballpark. There's no amenities. There's nothing for us players. It's super basic. I don't think the players are excited about it.
Just like when the Blue Jays had to play in Buffalo during COVID. Remember that?
Right. Yeah, because they couldn't go to Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think the players are excited about it because the ballpark doesn't really offer much. And the guys that have played there are like, yeah, it's a minor league ballpark. It looks and feels like a minor league ballpark.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I think as we found out though, when you look at the economics of all this, that the A's don't care. It's actually very profitable to be a losing team. Right. That's an interesting theory, John. Maybe after some time away, they finally put a deal together. I question if the city really would do that. I mean, the city has now lost 3 professional sports franchises in 5 years? The Warriors moved out. The Raiders moved out for the second time. And now the Oakland Athletics are moving out. I mean, I feel like as much as the city says they did as much as they could, I don't know that they did. And I'm not even sure they want professional sports the way they've treated the organizations as they left.
I mean, that's got to be a crazy loss in revenue for like local businesses, all businesses around those ballparks. I mean, I've never been out there. I don't know what the layout is and if they have businesses near the ballparks and stuff, but
oh yeah,
you're bringing in 30, 40, 50,000 people to these events, 100,000 if it's the Raiders, and they're losing all that business because you've now taken them out of your city. You know,
yeah, and literally the day
necessarily... after. Go ahead.
Well, and literally the day after the season ended, Oakland was already talking about their plans to redevelop the site. Yeah, they're gonna leave the old arena as a concert venue, and the ballpark's going to be used temporarily for outdoor events, and then they may eventually tear the ballpark down and replace it with a convention center and turn that into more of like an events area. So you'd have like the arena where you'd have concerts, the convention center where you could actually have large scale meetings and events, and then allow all the hotels and restaurants down there to benefit from that flow of activity without there being sports. I mean, who knows? But they got all these abandoned sports facilities they've got to do something with.
So you'll put all the money into changing that over to a concert venue and making it accessible, but won't make the proper renovations to keep your sports teams there. Got it.
Yes.
All right.
I mean, that doesn't make sense to you? You're not following?
I guess not. I guess I missed something there.
Okay. Well, I guess I can't help you, Nick.
Wild.
The whole thing is insane.
It would be interesting if they actually had a contender. would the city of Oakland have treated it differently? Have they been like, all right, we have, yes, the A's were successful back in the 70s, all of that stuff. I understand. But like now, like when's the last time that they were, sustainably good? Early 2000s with
It
like
was
the
the Moneyball
Tejada
days.
team. Yeah.
Yeah.
Since then, they haven't been able to compete. They've had like random playoff appearances in between there. But if the team was a perennial contender, or they noticed that the owner was trying to spend money to get people to go to Oakland, would the city have changed their tune and tried to figure something out?
Yeah. So
I don't know.
in 2018 they went 97-65, lost the wild card to the Yankees. In 19 they went 97-65 again, lost the wild card to the Rays. In 2020 they went 36-24. They won the wild card against the White Sox, lost the ALDS to the Astros. And then they 21 they won 86 games, and then they fell off a cliff after that. And then you got to go back to 2014. They had a similar run in 2012. They were 94-68, lost the ALDS to the Tigers.
Yeah.
2013 they were 96-66, lost the ALDS to the Tigers again. 2014 they were 88-74, lost the wild card to the Royals. Bob Melvin was a manager of the year in 12 and 18.
So it's really not as bad as I thought, to be completely honest.
It's that they have a kind of a program here. They're good for 3 years, they're bad for 3 years. They're good for 3 years, they're bad for 3 years. And that just seems to be their MO, because then you go back to like when they were really good, it was in 2000 they won 91 games, 2001 they won 102, 2002 they won 103, 2003 they won 96, 2004 they won 91, 2006 they won 93, and then 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 they averaged like 75 wins. And then they came back with 3 90-win seasons, and then they won 70 games a year for 3 years. Like it's just they're so wildly inconsistent.
Yeah. We have kind of talked about this. I wonder if Fisher does get the team to Vegas, does that change how they deal with their roster construct? I'm not sure. I would like to say yes, and they'll try to attract free agents there, but I'm not sure.
I mean, yeah. I think that Fisher has not wanted to invest in Oakland because he knew he was going to be leaving. So I think that's why the last few years they've just kind of stopped. I think he knew that he was on his way out because they couldn't get the ballpark. I mean, the ballpark's a disaster. MLB was pushing on Fisher to get it fixed. Fisher was pushing on the city to get it fixed. Nobody wanted to deal with it. And I think he's been planning to leave.
Yeah.
And was like, I'm not going to invest anymore here. I'm done. I'm just going to ride this thing out and do as little as possible, and I'll go somewhere else.
Yeah, and when I read the statement, was it last week? I think it was. He did put a lot of the blame on the city and on MLB. At least that's how I took the statement anyways, personally, was like,
sure,
I tried what I did. Like, we have a successful past. We have a successful franchise. We have a historic franchise. We did this. We've done that. I tried to put it here. I tried to put it there. I put a proposal for here, a proposal for there. But MLB is forcing me to move because they gave me a deadline and we haven't met that deadline. It just seemed like he was pushing a lot of it off and not taking any blame for it.
Yeah, I think that they had reached such an impasse with the city that they were just going through the motions to make it look like they were doing something with no intention of really ever striking a deal. And I think that's unfair to the fans on both sides. I think both from the city and from Fisher, but it was pretty clear that this was not going to end well, and they were going to end up doing something. And here we are. They're moving out. I still struggle to think about the A's not being in Oakland.
Yeah.
Like I can't comprehend it. It just seems weird.
Have we had a team move in our life? Oh yeah, Montreal Expos to Washington. So I
Right.
say, have we had? But that's the only one, right? I mean, we've had the expansion teams. We've had Colorado, we've had Florida, Tampa, and Arizona. But has any other teams moved in our lifetime? I don't think so. I would say Montreal.
No, just Montreal. Yeah, there's expansion, but there's been nobody to move but Montreal.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, 2004. And then before that, we got, let's see. Seattle Pilots to the Brewers in 69. Yeah, so just expansion.
Yeah, I think we've seen NFL teams move, we've seen some NHL teams move, but I don't think we've seen much in terms of MLB.
Yeah.
And I think that's good. I mean, you've got long established franchises.
Wow. It says here, I'm on Wikipedia, so take it for what it's worth. It said the Brooklyn Dodgers moved to Los Angeles because they had declining attendance and a desire for a new ballpark. I wonder how much of that was we just want a new ballpark and not declining attendance. I have a hard time believing the Brooklyn Dodgers had a hard time pulling people in for games.
I mean, unless they were terrible, which I don't think they were. Why would fans stop showing up?
Moved in 1957. They were 84 and 70 in 57. The year they moved. I wouldn't call that terrible.
So a good team, probably in the playoff hunt.
They finished third in the NL.
Okay.
Yeah, so we can go back. I mean, this is listed: Boston Braves to the Milwaukee Braves, to the Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Browns to Baltimore Orioles.
Yep.
Philadelphia Athletics to Kansas City to Oakland. So they just kind of slowly made their way to the West Coast as, the nation developed.
Yeah.
New York Giants, San Francisco Giants, Brooklyn to LA, Senators to the Twins, Milwaukee Braves to Atlanta Braves, then Pilots to the Brewers, and then Washington Senators again, but became the Texas Rangers.
Yep.
And then Expos to the Washington Nationals.
Yeah. Yeah. Good question, John. Which move do you think is most devastating? I actually think it's going to turn out to be Oakland. I think that this Oakland move is going to be a disaster for the franchise. I think once they get to Vegas, it's probably going to be fine, but I think it's going to be a struggle for them for a while. But I think the history of that team moving away is going to be hard. When the Expos moved, nobody cared because they stunk. The ballpark was terrible and they stunk. And they had really always stunk, minus a couple of years.
The strike year.
Right. So I think the Expos was an easy one because people were like, geez, baseball's not working up there. It's got to go. I mean, Oakland's got a pretty good history. And I think moving from Oakland's going to be tough.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can't really speak on the other ones because they happened so long ago. Like, probably at the time they were absolutely devastating to the fan base and stuff. But
I feel bad for the Oakland sports fans who've watched the Golden State Warriors move away. They've watched the Raiders move away, and now they're watching the Oakland Athletics move away. I mean, there are generations of fans that have watched all their teams leave.
Yeah. Oh, 4 major sports. Gotcha. The Supersonics was a bad one.
That was a bad one.
That one hurt Seattle a lot.
Yeah, where'd they end?
Agree.
Did they? Was that
okay,
the
OKC, the
Oklahoma?
Thunder?
Yeah, that was a bad one.
Yeah, because Kevin Durant was the last person to play for the Supersonics, and then went straight to the Thunder. Yeah.
Yeah,
that
Supersonics.
one
That's a bad one. I think the Raiders is a bad one. The Rams was a bad one, and that one's still a mess.
Yeah.
St. Louis, they're still in lawsuits with St. Louis and all that.
Because they went from Los Angeles to St. Louis, then back to Los Angeles, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. St.
That
Louis
one's really bad, and that one's just a mess.
Yeah. Man. So there was a hockey team in Atlanta, right? The Thrashers, Atlanta Thrashers. They went to Nashville, became the Predators, and then they just folded the franchise.
Yeah.
So
weird.
Yeah. Rams was a good one. Supersonic. I think you nailed the Supersonics one. That one was tough.
One's bad. Because there was no reason to move them. They were fine.
They were good too. They had a good team.
They were good. They drew fans. The city, supported them, and then they just decided to up and leave for a better deal. That was the Supersonic days. That was back when you had Gary Payton over there. Like, you had so many good players go through Seattle.
It was 2008.
Wow, it feels like it was not that long ago.
Yeah. Owners voted on it 28-2 in favor of it.
Oh.
Only Mark Cuban and Paul Allen voted against it. Of course, it was Mark Cuban.
Well, Paul Allen, that's the Clippers, right? He owns the Clippers.
Was it? I don't know. Dang.
Crazy. Yeah, Supersonics is a bad one. I think this Oakland one's going to end up being a bad one. I think the Raiders was a bad one. The Rams was a really bad one. Oh, the jerseys were awesome. Yes. The Supersonic jerseys were awesome.
Oh, for sure.
Sean Kemp back in his prime.
Detlef Shrimp. The glove. Nate McMillan.
Gary Payton.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there was some, and yeah, Kevin Durant got drafted there, then basically immediately moved.
Yeah. Yeah, Nate McMillan was on that team. They were the best NBA Jam team. I love that team.
Oh my God, yes. They were so good. Yep.
Although the Orlando Magic also in that game was also pretty ridiculous. Penny Hardaway, Horace. It was Penny Hardaway, Horace Grant, and Nick Anderson.
Yep. Horace Grant was the man.
But yeah, man, that's a good one.
It is. Yeah, no, you're totally right,
John. Forgot the Vancouver Grizzlies to Memphis.
Yep.
But that's Canada. We don't care about Canada.
Well, then you had, was it the Winnipeg Jets that left and then came back also? I feel like there's all kinds of. The NHL's had a lot of weird moves.
Yeah. Yeah, and it seems like their affiliate teams switch every other year too.
Oh, it's really the NHL has a lot more movement than any other sport. It seems like.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's because hockey is such a niche sport.
Yeah.
There's certain markets it just isn't going to do well in, although it seems like it might. Well, it's like, who would have thought the Florida Panthers would do as well as they have and draw as well as they do down in Florida? Who plays hockey in Florida?
Just them.
I mean, oh, you're right. The Thrashers did move back to become the Winnipeg Jets. Yes.
That might be. Is that where they went? Then were the Predators were the Predators just a expansion team then?
Yeah, the Nashville Predators. Actually, they beat your Hurricanes today.
Of course they did. It's still preseason. don't know.
They might have been expansion.
It was expansion in '98.
Okay. Yeah, so I think you're right. The Thrashers ended up becoming the Winnipeg Jets after the Winnipeg Jets had moved. I don't remember where they went. I miss the days of the Quebec Nordiques. They were such a weird team. And they're what did they become Colorado?
I don't know.
Although nothing's better than Sean when he wore the Hartford Whalers hat on Monday.
Yeah, it was great. No, the Winnipeg Jets moved to Phoenix. They became the Coyotes in '96.
Okay, and then Atlanta moved back and became the Jets again. Yeah,
Yeah.
the Quebec Nordiques became the Colorado Avalanche in '95.
Yep. All right. So, trivia question for you:
Oh boy.
Out of the four major sports, tell me the 6 teams where their mascots are the same. So, like for instance,
Always been the same?
not the same. So, like they
Oh.
share. They share. So, like the
Oh.
Winnipeg Jets and New York Jets. See what I'm saying?
Oh. Yeah.
So there's 5 others.
So let's see. You've got the Jets. That makes sense. Get the Vegas Golden Knights. You've got the Vancouver Canucks. You've got Bruins. You've got the Rangers.
Rangers. Yep. New York Rangers, Texas Rangers.
You've got Panthers.
Panthers, Florida Panthers, Carolina Panthers. Yep.
Are we counting the Dallas Stars with the Cowboys?
No.
Since they both have a star? No? Okay.
No.
Avalanche.
There you go. John's got 2 more.
Cardinals and Giants. Oh, right.
Yeah. Is that all of them? Am I missing one? Giants, Cardinals, Panthers, Jets,
Rangers.
Rangers. I thought there was 6. There might only be 5.
Oh, his dad loved Quebec. I just got a kick out of that team. I think that's it.
For some reason, I thought there was another, but could be wrong. Oh, no, there is one more. It's a hard one. Hockey and basketball.
Oh.
Both in the same state. It's a really tough one.
See, it's not Minnesota.
No. I'll even give you California as a state.
Oh, geez. It's huge. Okay. So you got the Kings. You've got
that's it. It's the Kings. Sacramento.
Oh, that's
Kings
right, Sacramento.
That's
right. That's right. LA and Sacramento are both the Kings.
Yeah, that one took me a long time to figure out. That's why I forgot it. I was like, I knew there were 6, but I couldn't remember.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
a good one.
But yeah. Then what's the other ones? Name all the teams that don't end in an S.
Oh Lord.
Out of the 4 major sports. Oh, it's an out.
Yeah,
so
over.
So like Red Sox, obviously, don't end in S.
Yeah,
but Cardinals does.
Red Sox, White Sox. exits: Yankees, Orioles, Rangers,
Right.
Padres,
There,
Twins, Mets,
there's
Brewers.
no more baseball.
I was gonna say there can't be.
No.
But then you got like the Minnesota Wild.
Yes, that's
There's
one.
no S.
Yeah.
Colorado Avalanche.
Yep.
Panthers, Canes, Bruins, Rangers, Islanders. Like there's all S's.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Lakers, Clippers, Hawks, Celtics, Knicks. It's all S's.
Yep. There you go.
Heat, Magic. There we go. Yeah, Heat, Magic. Those are good.
There's another basket. There's two more basketball. We just talked about one of them moving here like 5 minutes ago.
I know.
The Supersonics moved to
the Thunder.
Thunder. What comes with Thunder?
Lightning.
Like Tampa Bay Lightning. Yeah.
Tampa Bay Lightning.
And then the other basketball one. It's the only sports. Well, now it's one of two sports franchises in this city. Because the Phoenix Coyotes are moving here.
Oh, the Phoenix. No. The Phoenix Suns? But that's an S.
No. The Phoenix Coyotes, the hockey team, is moving to this city that has a basketball team.
Yeah, the Jazz.
The Jazz, yeah. And there's no football. All football ends with S.
I couldn't think of a single football team. I was racking my brain. I'm like, I don't think any of them.
That's pretty cool.
But, yeah, Heat and Magic, both your Florida basketball teams.
Yeah. Yeah, there's another one too. I can't remember how many there are, but it's the ones with only four letters in their name. So like Mets, Jazz, Nets.
Yep. Heat.
That one's a tough one too, but yeah, those are cool.
That is cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, what do we got? Top of the eighth, 5-2 ball game.
5-2 top eight. Not looking promising for Atlanta. They've really not put up much of a fight.
No, not at all. That is a great question, John. I don't know.
I'd love to find out.
Polygamy? I don't know.
And canceled.
Yeah. I don't know. See, that's what I'm not sure about either. I don't know the size of the market there. I don't know.
Small.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine. But there's also geographically nothing there either, right? I mean, you have Colorado, which is kind of in the middle of nowhere. Salt Lake City kind of breaks that up a little bit, but I don't know. How much of a pull are you actually going to get? Oh, 2-run shot?
No way. Who?
It's either 2-run or solo. Let's see.
2-run.
Yeah, 2-run, 5-4. Michael Harris.
Literally, as I say, they put up no fight. Michael Harris.
That's how it goes.
Oh man, I mean they're bound to wake up eventually, but it just didn't seem promising.
No. Dang. He left the fastball up. Crushed it.
So Salt Lake City would be the 27th largest media market in the country.
Out of 30. I mean, you're just kind of, or 32 if it's an expansion team that goes there.
Well, this is rating all places that have teams, as well as other larger media markets. So, to give you an example, so Salt Lake City is 1,174. 1,174 homes, whereas New York City is 7.5 million homes.
Well, I mean, that's kind of a dumb city to compare it to, but I mean, yeah, I get it.
Boston is 2.6 million.
You said it was what? 1 point. You said it 1.1?
They are 1.17 million.
We have more than that here in Raleigh.
Yeah, Indianapolis is 1.2 million. St. Louis is 1,285,000. Raleigh Durham's 1,333,000.
Yeah.
Charlotte's 1,362,000. Sacramento's 1,526,000. Atlanta's 2.7 million. So you've got ahead of Salt Lake City, you've got Nashville, Indy, St. Louis, Portland, Oregon, Raleigh, Durham, Charlotte, Sacramento, Cleveland, Miami, Denver, Orlando. Like there's so many markets ahead of it. But it is bigger than Pittsburgh. It's bigger than Baltimore. It's bigger than San Diego. It's bigger than Kansas City. It's bigger than Cincinnati. It's bigger than Milwaukee. It's bigger than Vegas.
Yeah.
So it's not a huge market, but it's not a small market.
But you're also going to pull from a lot of surrounding states there too. That would drive the hour and a half to 2 hours to, because there's no other sports teams around.
Right. You will pull. Yeah, you'll pull from others. And that's like you'll see a lot of these places like Green Bay's 476,000, but they only have one team. It's the Packers.
Right.
Buffalo,
they
641,000. Exactly. Buffalo, 641,000. They only have the Bills. I mean, Providence, Rhode Island is bigger than Buffalo.
Yeah.
And they've got no teams except for Providence College.
They're the Providence Bruins. Don't they? Still?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, all the flyover states, no teams. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. But
yeah, the Providence Bruins are still playing strong. And then they got the Maine Mariners. So up here in Portland.
That's right.
Yeah, the flyover state. It's, you look at your major metro markets and kind of dot them on a map, and there's a lot of dead space in between that may support a single team, but it won't support every sport.
But I mean, I think Salt Lake City could definitely get away with, baseball and the NBA. Then you have at least one thing. Well, now hockey. So you're going to be splitting hockey with the Jazz, but that's one arena, right? You can, I mean, all the arenas around the country already split those anyways. But now you have a sports team every single day of the sports year at this point, because you got baseball, spring, summer, hopefully the fall, and then it just bleeds into basketball and hockey. So maybe that's what they're just hoping.
Yeah, if Salt Lake can add baseball on top of the hockey and basketball it already has, then you would have 12 months of sports with not a ton of overlap.
Right.
So it's interesting. Yeah. It's not a huge market, but it's also not a tiny one.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about the expansion before in the cities that we would love to see the new teams go into. And, for a while there, Nashville was going to have they had a team together. Don Mattingly was heading it up for a while. I haven't heard anything on that front. In fact, I think the last thing we heard was they kind of disbanded, didn't they?
I think they did. Yeah. It got really quiet. Then I think it kind of just fizzled out.
But yeah, they had name picked out and everything. I think it was going to be the Nashville Sounds or something like that, which was a nod to the Negro Leagues. But I haven't heard anything on that. But Nashville would be good. I know I keep saying this because it's my home base, but Raleigh Durham would absolutely love a baseball team here, because there's nothing around us for 6 hours. We got to drive 6 hours to get to Atlanta, and then 5.5.
Yeah, but you've got 20 minor league teams in a 3-mile space.
I mean, facts, but that's still it's still not Major League Baseball.
It's not.
It's not. It's cool to see those guys on rehab stints or see them before they go up to the big leagues.
Yes,
but it's just not the same. And the Durham Bulls owner has already given the Hurricanes owner permission to like go ahead and try to get an MLB team here. Because like there's that whole restriction where you can't have certain teams within a certain distance and all that stuff, but he gave him the blessing to do it. But I mean, I don't think I'll see it. I think Charlotte will get it over us, which is dumb. But
Charlotte is the bigger market, but not by a lot. But it's also built to support that level of traffic in and out.
I mean, so isn't PNC, where they would put the baseball field and stuff. Like they can get traffic in and out of there because the Canes fan base is rabid. Like it is awesome to go to a game down here, and I could see them doing that with the baseball team here too. But what were some of the other cities we mentioned? Back in Montreal.
Yeah, back in Montreal, Nashville. We talked about Salt Lake quite a bit. What else was on the list? There was a whole list that
I think OKC was brought up. I think San Antonio was one. I think Portland, Oregon was one.
So MLB had proposed Austin, San Antonio, Texas area, Charlotte, North Carolina, Mexico City, Montreal, Nashville, Orlando.
Yo, if people have a cow about Coors Field, they're definitely going to have a cow about Mexico City.
Yeah.
That fence would have to be at 650 feet.
Yeah, Portland, Oregon, Raleigh, North Carolina, San Jose, Salt Lake City were the ones that were on the kind of the original list that MLB proposed. And this was, or kind of outlined, and that was back in February of this year. And Rob Manfred wants that decision to be made and the process to be started by the time he retires in 29.
Yeah.
So there's time. So we shall see.
Yeah, so right here, Carolina Hurricanes owner Tom Dundon wants to bring a Major League Baseball team franchise to North Carolina, and he believes now is the time to try to make it happen. So he's getting a group together.
That would be cool.
It says Rob Manfred said in July during the baseball's annual All-Star break that there's no official timetable for the next round of MLB expansion, but wanted to put together its first expansion committee in more than a quarter of a century by the end of 2023. So then that would make sense that it all came out in February.
Yep.
Of this year. Yeah. The Vegas Golden Knights paid the league an entry fee of $500 million. According to Manfred, the next baseball expansion franchises should expect to pay MLB an entry fee in the neighborhood of $2.2 billion per team. And the owner of the Canes says that sounds reasonable.
Well, I mean, you look at the value of these franchises. But you look at the value of these franchises, like so many of these franchises are worth several $1 billion that it's almost like that's not a bad price to pay to get access. But at the same time, like $2.2 billion is like the cover charge to get into the club, but you still got to build the ballpark. You still got to, you still got to field a team. You still got to hire staff. You've still got like all these other costs on top of the entry fee. I mean, you better be coming to the part. You better be coming to the party with like $4 billion if you're even going to think about it.
I call that a slow Tuesday.
Yeah, I mean, I can probably go find that in my couch if I had to.
Yeah. North Carolina, estimated population of almost 11 million people. It's the most populous state in the country without an MLB franchise. Similar size state, Ohio, 11.7 million people, has 2 MLB teams for more than 100 years.
Yeah, but people like Ohio. I mean, North Carolina, like, whatever.
Sure. North Carolina has roughly doubled in the past 50 years.
It's crazy.
So,
I know so many people that have moved down there.
yeah. I mean, it is awesome down here. I love it. I'm never coming
I
back
think
north.
I think I view North Carolina as like it's the entry to the South. Like it's not Florida or Georgia where it's like 12 bajillion degrees all year. You still get some seasons. You still get some cold weather. You might even get some snow on occasion.
Yeah.
It's still hot in the summer, but it's not like 112 degrees every day.
Not every day,
It's
but
it's like that happy middle ground of like I don't want to be in the tropical swamp of Florida, but I don't want to be in the cold of the Northeast anymore. So North Carolina is like right in the middle. Let's just go there.
yeah.
And it's blown up. It's amazing. And I do think a professional baseball team would draw really well in North Carolina.
For sure.
Whether you put it in Charlotte or Raleigh Durham or wherever, Greensboro. I mean, pick a hub. It would do well.
Yeah. I mean, but the thing is like we have talked about before, and what you just said, 5 minutes ago, there are a ton of minor league baseball teams here.
So many.
You have the Carolina Mudcats, you have the Hickory Crawdads, the Durham Bulls, the Greensboro Grasshoppers. You have a lot of the Fayetteville Woodpeckers. So like you do have a ton. And the Durham Bulls would be a 15-minute drive from where they want the MLB stadium. So would that pull attendance away from the Bulls? I don't know if it would, because the Durham Bulls are such a historic minor league team and such a loyal fan base. And let's be honest, it would be a cheaper option. I can go to a Durham Bulls game for $10. A new Major League Baseball expansion team, I'm still going to be paying $90 to $100 a ticket.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think there's still a place for minor league baseball.
Oh, absolutely, right. But I don't know.
I think they can coexist.
All right, Braves down to their final 3 outs here.
Yeah, Luis Arraez just flew out to the warning track.
Oh, you're like, oh, gotcha. Yeah, I was gonna say you're way ahead of me, but
yeah. So we go to the top of the 9th. Atlanta's got 3 outs. Can they keep it going? 3 outs to keep the season alive.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, it sounds like expansion is a few years away. It's not, anywhere close.
It's going to be a while.
But I mean, if population keeps growing like it is down here in North Carolina, it would be hard for them to be like, yeah, let's not think about that as an option. Because, I mean, even since I've been here, dude, it seems like every road has new, apartment complexes going up or new housing development. Like I can see the population. I've only been here for 6 years. So like, it's really taken off.
It totally has. It's amazing what's happened down there.
Yeah. But yeah, I love it. I don't know what I'd want to name the team down here. Haven't really thought about it that much, but there'd be some cool ones. I don't know.
I mean, I honestly think, Nick, you should put your name in the ring to own that franchise when it comes down there.
Listen, as soon as they announce that they're going to build a stadium, I'm going to go tent out and wait for season tickets. Like as soon as they
should own the club.
Yeah, with what? The monopoly money I have in my closet?
Whatever you got to do, man. You need to own that team.
Yeah, that ain't happening. Unless the Powerball hits in the next week or so, I don't have a chance.
Even then, it won't be enough.
No.
You have to go win Powerball a few times.
Yeah, it's crazy. That's nuts.
It's a different level of investment.
All
right, we got Robert Suarez in the game.
$2.2 billion to even just put your hat in the ring. Like not like you said, not even do anything. Just 2.2.
No, you got $2.2 billion is just for MLB to accept you into the league. then you got to go build a ballpark, and I mean it's not like it's ready to go for you.
What's it gonna take for you to be my friend? I'd say about 2.2 billion.
Yeah,
Does
sounds
that
like a good
sound all right?
number.
I'm like, God dang, man, that's insane.
Yeah. You want to join the club? The entry fee is 2.2 billion. Okay, cool. Who did I make the check out to?
Is that what a B or a T? Like it's a trillion? You said trillion, right? Oh, billion. I got that. That's fine.
Whatever. No
Yeah,
biggie.
wild, dude.
Ooh, Suarez 101. He's bringing it.
Yeah, this dude throws straight cheddar. Yeah, didn't
Kind
he
of a
have
guy
his?
that
He had a string of like 13 consecutive Ks, right? And it was all on
something like that. Yeah,
fastballs like this season.
just throws gas. And honestly, was a guy that like wasn't really a well-known name before the season started.
Yeah. And they're
It
like,
was like,
hey,
who is
dude,
this guy?
you got 103 in your back pocket. How about we just stick with that pitch? Call it a day.
Right. Well, it's funny because like in 2022, he had a good year with the Padres. Last 23 was okay. Like he regressed and also didn't pitch a lot. I think there's some injuries in there. And then this year, he's like lit the world on fire.
Yeah. He said Braves get the lead off on, they tie it up. Whew. Yeah, I'm like a good 20 seconds behind you right now. I hate how it's so delayed.
Yeah. Just threw a 101.5 mile per hour sinker on the outside. So it's 3-2. I mean, they're in the bottom half of the order.
Dude, how do you even lay off that?
It hit a rocket. Holy cow.
Yeah, Sterling's. I mean, the values of franchises over the last 10 years have definitely increased a ton. What a play by Jackson Merrill.
That was a rocket.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, MLB franchise values are way up. We were actually talking about that a couple weeks ago on the pod.
He sold it for two billion. But what did he buy it for? Yeah, so two billion it says here. It sold the franchise 2 billion. He purchased the team in 1981 for 12 million. Sold it for 2 billion.
Wow. Yeah, this I'm gonna put this link in the chat. It actually shows the value of the team, how much it's changed, their revenue and their income, which is pretty interesting to see. This is based on 23, I believe.
Yeah, because the numbers of 24 probably haven't quite come out yet.
No. But like Boston Red Sox, number 3 with a $4.5 billion value, $500 million in revenue. They made $62 million in income off this team. The New York Mets lost $292 million. Pittsburgh Pirates, 1.32 billion. They made 68 million last year. It pays to suck.
Yeah, we were talking about that too. Like all the teams that are finishing at the bottom are more profitable than the teams at the top. It's crazy.
Yeah. San Diego Padres lost 116 million last year. That was all that payroll they took in. They couldn't afford. They had to take out a loan to stay afloat. Seattle Mariners made 76 million. You'll also see like in here, like the teams that own their ballparks and own their TV rights, like the Red Sox, the Yankees, like
Right.
their revenue and their values are so much higher, and their profits also. Although the Yankees don't make any money because they spend it all on payroll, but like those teams make 2x what the average team makes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because you're not necessarily paying rent.
Exactly. You're not paying rent. You own your TV rights, which is a huge value. You've got your regional network. So it's it makes a huge difference in the math.
Yeah.
Laureano grounds out, 2 out.
So
Is
Padres,
this the
if
end?
they win, go to LA. The winner of Mets-Brewers go to Philly. Correct? That's how it goes?
Yes. Yep. Yeah, winner of San Diego Atlanta goes to LA.
Travis d'Arnaud. It seems like he's always up in these spots.
d'Arnaud's pinch hitting for Urshela, so that's a great bat to bring off the bench.
Yeah, it's all right. When I went to Atlanta a couple of years ago, dude, I saw him hit a absolute moonshot. It was like 480 feet, dead center. It was nuts.
Yeah. Weren't you there for his 2 home run game last year?
Yeah. Yeah, against the Rockies.
Yeah, it was wild. And they were not cheapos.
And the first one was an absolute tank, dude. He hit it, and it was everybody in the stadium just went, "Oh!" Like,
oh, Travis d'Arnaud pops out. That's the game.
Wow. All right. So 3 out of the 4.
San Diego moves on.
They take each other out. So 3 out of the 4 clinch today. So we got Royals going to New York. We got Tigers going to Cleveland. And we got the Padres going to LA. So we wait the winner tomorrow for the Mets or Brewers to go to Philly. Wow.
Amazing.
All right. Well.
Wild.
Crazy.
Wild stuff here.
Yep. All right. Well, go Tigers, go Royals.
I'm taking the underdogs. Let's go. Go Padres. I mean, let's take all the underdogs here.
Take them all.
Make it interesting.
Go Mets or Brewers.
Yep. Let's take all the underdogs. Let's create chaos. We love chaos.
I am really curious about this Tigers team, though, for sure. They're so scrappy and so good. I mean, Tyree Scruble's not scrappy. That dude's ridiculous.
He's a
but
monster.
Everybody else on that team just professional at bats and scrappy as hell. So I want to see how well they do. So I'll be pulling for them hard.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah. All right. Well, that will do it for us tonight since the game is over. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining the conversation. We'll probably do this again. Just kind of have a sit and a round table, just talk baseball. So when you see us pop on live, just come in, join the conversation in the chat. And if we're doing this again and you guys want to come on the show on camera and talk to us about baseball, we'd love to do that too. So you can just send us a message or whatever. We'll drop the link and you guys can hop on and talk baseball with us if you would like. But if you're watching, just make sure you follow and like us on Facebook. You can subscribe on YouTube, follow on Instagram, and we're on Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well. But again, thanks for your support. Thanks for chiming in. And we're on every Monday at 8 p.m. with our regular show. And then just keep your eye out for the playoffs because we pick random days and kind of pop on and watch the games, talk about it live. So we will see y'all later.